made a horrifying discovery.
911, what's the problem?
I don't know. We're walking in the house and there's just mess everywhere.
Is anyone injured?
My husband.
My brother went in the room, and that's when he started yelling, Dad. I tried to just yell his name at him, but he wouldn't wake up.
So our victim is Paul Bowman, father of two.
50 years old when he was beaten to death while he slept in his own bed.
Paul Bowman was married to a lady named Martha. They had 2 sons together. Paul was so excited to finally have his own children.
He was all involved in his son's baseball, cared about the boys.
Very devoted father. Why would this happen to him? Paul's 2 sons meant everything to him. He was very involved in their life, truly a father that lived for his children. Paul seemed like he was really well liked by all his friends. His family adored him. All Paul ever wanted was to raise his sons, and somebody robbed him of that. Our challenge is going to be to figure out who could have done this and why. I think the problem is they just couldn't get anybody to break back then. So maybe we can get somebody else to talk.
Yeah.
We got our work cut out for us again.
It has been 16 years and still no answers.
Police consider her killing a cold case.
Years later, the case is still unsolved.
There are so many cold cases out there just waiting to be solved.
The crime scene ultimately tells the story of the murder.
We want to bring justice to these victims.
This is a big PD, girlie.
I know.
I bet you're Byron.
I am.
I'm Kelly. Nice to meet
Kelly,
you.
nice to meet you.
Yolanda.
Yolanda, nice to meet you. I'm glad you guys are here in Arlington. We're a fairly big city here.
Yeah. How many of you guys work for your department?
We have probably 600 plus officers now. Yeah.
How long have you been a cop?
For 23 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Show us our room.
Okay. Well, it's this
Go
way.
to work.
This is a very difficult case, so I was very excited to have Kelly and Yolanda look at this case. My ego is never bigger than the case.
Hey, Alan.
Hey.
Girls?
Yolanda and I have invited Alan Brown back to work with Byron because Alan's from Texas.
Byron, I'm just going to shake your hand.
I'm Byron. Yeah,
And why wouldn't you invite a Texas cop to work with some other guys from here? It'd be kind of silly not to. Why don't you start out by telling us about the victim?
The victim, Paul David Bowman. At the time of the offense, he was 50 years old. They lived in South Arlington. He works at a bank in Dallas, the midnight shift. And from all indications of people we talked to, he's an excellent father. He was a part-time Little League coach with his sons, and he was really proud of those boys as far as being active in their lives.
Look at that.
We could not find a person that would say anything negative about him at all. He was a good man.
Walk us through the beginning of the case.
On August 10th, he works the midnight shift. Paul came home around 8:30 or so, went upstairs, he used the computer. Around 9:12, he stopped on the computer and went into the master bedroom with the intention of going to bed. The boys were not at home at this time. They had spent the night with a friend. Martha said she left the house around 9:30 to 9:40 at the latest. She went to a friend's house. At some point, she left, went to go pick up the 2 boys, and then came back home. It was around 1:30 or so. When she got home, she realized that the front door was slightly ajar. And at some point, she went to the master bedroom where she saw him and called 911. The on-call detective got the call, which was Detective Lenore. Paul was found in the bed. It looks like he was just asleep in the bed. But when you take a closer look, the determination of his death was blunt force trauma. At some point, Detective Tom Lenore made the determination to talk to Martha here at the PD.
Do you remember if you locked front door that day?
I did not lock.
Lenore interviews Martha 6 times?
At least 6 times, yeah.
First of all, have you heard anything new that I need to know?
She gives timelines and things of that nature.
How much time you got before me today?
But her story was not consistent.
Why did you leave that door open?
I locked the door.
You locked the door?
Yes, and also...
Time out. You locked the door?
Yes.
Okay, on our suspect board, who y'all want to do first?
Martha Bowman.
What y'all want to start with?
Unhappy marriage. She wants out of this marriage.
Wanted out?
There's multiple people that said that.
She was wanting out of the marriage.
Paul made it clear that he wasn't going to grant the divorce. He didn't want his boys growing up in a broken home.
She admits to Lenore they were fighting that morning and arguing.
That's a good one. What else like that?
Having an affair.
With Pedro.
Yep.
Prior to the offense, there were phone calls that Martha and Pedro had. You can tell that there's some type of relationship that they have that is not of the norm of a married woman.
I'm going to ask you a very personal question. Are you in a relationship with him?
No.
None. Zero.
Can't stand people, even when they're busted, they won't admit it.
But the big lie is she was with Carmina. When Martha initially talked to the detectives, she told them that she left Paul asleep at home and she picked up her friend Carmina to go to a bakery.
What did you have to go get?
Bread. Because,
bread?
Yes.
Video surveillance confirmed that Martha was at the bakery that morning, but not with Carmina. She was there with her lover, Pedro.
She never mentions Pedro ever.
Yeah.
But could it be that she's just trying to hide Pedro over the affair issue so that she won't look like the #1 suspect?
Just because you're having an affair doesn't make you a murderer. Y'all want to start working on Pedro? We got to think of the things that tell us that he's involved.
He was with her that day, that morning.
Yeah.
And they've been having this affair for how long would y'all guess?
At least 2 years.
Right when the murder happened, he did go to Mexico for a whole month. And then he comes home, the polygraph happens.
Yes.
What happened with him on the polygraph?
Deceptive.
Yeah.
Does anything about the crime scene make you think it's him?
The ME's report is a non-yielding blow.
You're saying with the force that was used?
It was great force.
There weren't many blows to Paul's head, but the few strikes that he did sustain were powerful enough to kill him.
Skull is cracked, and it's not easy to do that.
Killing Paul required a lot of force from the suspect swinging the weapon, and possibly even the weight of the weapon itself. Investigators discovered a tire iron outside of the home that could possibly fit.
That tire iron has been sent to sourcing.
Okay, so we're waiting on that.
Yeah, we're waiting on that as well.
Okay, all right, got it.
The tire iron has been sent to the lab for testing, and if it comes back with a DNA match and traces of our victim's blood, it could help figure out once and for all who killed Paul Bowman.
The dad's name is Paul Bowman Sr., huh?
Yes.
And the sister Donna's going to be there?
Yeah, she should be there as well. Of course, you know, the mother passed away here.
So sad.
Yeah.
Did she know you were firing up the case again?
Yeah, they told her just before she passed away what was going on.
We are going to meet Paul's family today. They have also just very recently lost their mom.
Hi.
Hi.
Mr. Bowman, how are you, sir?
I just really hope that we're able to give them some hope here.
Mr. Bowman, how are you, sir? I'm so sorry about your wife.
Oh, I know it.
She went so peacefully.
Yeah.
This made her go that much more peaceful because she loved y'all's show. My mother used to sit up at night and watch Kelly and Yolanda on TV. And we'd look at each other and go, wouldn't it be wonderful if they took on my brother's case? And it was the best gift they could have given my mother before she passed away.
Talk about Paul.
Best brother in the whole wide world. He was not only tall in stature, his heart was as big as he was.
He was as good a son as a father could ask for.
He loved sports. He was into sports. Yes. He played the band. He wrote a play. Wanted to be a comedian. He thought he was the funniest person on earth.
What's the picture when he's got on like the gold-looking shorts?
Those are my boys.
Well, yeah, he put on that outfit and then picked up the twins, so we had to snap a shot, of course.
He didn't have children till later on in life, and he loved his kids dearly. He just loved them.
And if your mom was sitting here, if your wife was sitting here, what would she tell us about him?
That he was the best son that any mother would want, and he didn't deserve what he got. We are so sorrowful about it, that it happened to our son. It's hard. It was very hard. I miss him so much, it's hard to explain.
Well, let me just tell you this. This man has done a fantastic job.
We know him and Tom both has been working there.
Yes, they've done a great
day
job.
and night.
And we need to fine-tune it, and hopefully with you guys' help, then we can do that, you know.
But you know, we can't promise you anything.
Right,
you know.
right.
I'm just hoping for justice. And now with Yolanda and Kelly coming in, it's just like new hope.
We're headed to the crime scene, Paul Bowman's home, that he lived in with his wife and 2 sons at the time of the murder. Martha and the boys moved out shortly after.
We talked to the homeowners and they let us just go back over the crime scene to kind of get a feel for what happened.
When police initially arrived at the scene, they had to consider robbery as a possible motive for Paul's murder.
And the one thing that didn't make sense to me, in that bathroom was his wallet with money. The dresser drawers were pulled out, but there's a camcorder on that dresser, other valuable items on that dresser that you'd think a burglar would take. None of that stuff is disturbed.
There was no forced entry into this residence. And there was nothing taken from the residence, so it was apparent that this was not a robbery. It just doesn't make any sense that this would be a burglary that had gone bad. This suspect entered the bedroom with one goal: to kill Paul. We're reinvestigating the scene where in 2008, Paul Bowman's wife and sons shockingly found him beaten to death in his bed. This is pretty identical to the way it was.
He was laying on this side of the bed?
No, he was actually right here.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle?
Based on the autopsy report, Paul's body position, and the lack of defensive wounds, police believe that he was murdered in his sleep around 9:30 a.m. I mean, really, his head is tucked into this pillow. This is about all the area that you have. Paul sustained several blows to the head, causing his skull to crack, likely leaving him unconscious and incapacitated. Brain swelling and internal bleeding then caused his skull fracture to become fatal. We have a little bit of spatter coming up onto the pillow right in front of him, and a little tiny piece of his ear is missing. Now, we know that back here on this wall, you wouldn't be surprised if that's that little piece of ear. And then on the back right here, he's got what looks like a circle bruise.
Do y'all think that this strike could be from a bat?
Swing a bat pretty hard. It does a lot of damage.
Since Paul was a coach with the baseball team that his sons played on, there were several bats around the house, and we had them all tested. We did not find any definitive evidence that suggests any of those bats were used against Paul.
Now, we know we do have that tire iron out there. That was on the back patio on the grill. While we don't know what weapon was used, we can deduce from Paul's injuries how the murder occurred. For demonstration purposes, we brought along a tire iron similar to the one that we sent to the lab for testing.
If the person was walking in, he's facing the door, you have to probably stand a little bit closer to the bed. You can come straight down. The person came up pretty high again for the second one. You can go down again. And then you have that third blow that we believe is just separate, and it goes straight down as well.
Man, this is heavy. If I was a girl hitting with one thing, I can't hold it tight enough, because y'all know a girl's wrist is just not as strong as a man's is.
Not to be sexist or anything, but as a guy, I would just go down like this.
As a guy, you probably would.
I could not, even with 2 hands, get the kind of torque I know I need to inflict the injury, because I don't want them waking up.
Oh, God, no.
On the first blow, you don't want to mess it up.
So I'm going to swing as hard as I can downward.
But a girl can't.
Byron's walking through this murder as if a man did it, which is possible, but not the only possibility.
You're holding like a girl, but you're not swinging like a girl. Watch this.
If a woman wielded a weapon with 2 hands, she'd likely need a wider range of motion to build up enough momentum to exert a deadly force. But seeing how big this room is, that's entirely possible.
So if I'm mad, I still know how to swing. You're going to go like this. Cow! Like that. I mean, you can still swing way back here, and you're like that. You don't have to go like this. If you can rear back and swing hard enough, you can kill somebody that way. And you don't have to be big and 6 foot tall to do that. So you good with everything, Byron?
Yeah, and you have more room here to just go back and swing, so I can see that a lot clearer now.
Seeing firsthand the bedroom's layout and the space that Paul's killer had to maneuver, it's clear that both Martha, Paul's wife, and her lover Pedro would have been physically capable of killing. We need to talk to the Bowman's neighbors to see what they remember from that day.
Hey, I'm Byron Stewart.
After discovering Paul's body, Martha and the two boys called over James Williams and his girlfriend Jeanette Hunt for help.
You remember that case, the Paul Bowman case?
Call him Pete.
You call him Pete?
Yeah, he's a good neighbor.
We got ready to go outside. You know, we were going to go to Fort Worth to get some tacos. And then she and the boys were outside, and then she told us to come here.
So when I walked in, I stood back, and I said, Pete. He didn't say nothing.
So you walk into the bedroom? Could you see his head?
It looked like you could see like a little blood. And so I just came out and I said, yeah, I can call somebody.
Was she like tearfully crying at that point?
She didn't start to crying and wailing and stuff until she was inside my house, and the baseball coach's wife asked her what happened. She just started saying, "Oh, I can't breathe, I can't breathe," and just really carrying on it like she didn't want to answer.
So was it your interpretation that her wailing and crying and carrying on all of a sudden was to avoid answering that question the woman had asked her?
I absolutely believe that. I sure do.
Yeah.
Also, she was saying something that she wanted some alcohol. So I'm thinking maybe she might want a beer or some wine. But she wanted, for some reason, she wanted a rubbing alcohol.
She specifically asked for rubbing alcohol?
Yeah.
So I went and got up rubbing alcohol, put some on a paper towel to get to her, and she was like, no, and took the whole bottle and doused it on her arm and started rubbing her whole arm.
Was it both arms?
Just one.
There's no way of knowing how someone will react when they find a loved one murdered, but dousing yourself in rubbing alcohol is just odd. Could she have been trying to get rid of forensic evidence?
What did you think when you saw that?
I'm like, I wonder why she do that. Strange.
All right, guys, are we ready to call Cammie from Sorensen and see if anything possibly was found on that tire iron? Because the tire iron is a possible murder weapon in this case, we had the police send it out for testing in the weeks before we came to town. Today, we're getting back the results.
Hello, this is Cammie.
Hey, Cammie, it's Yolanda. We're calling to talk to you about that tire iron.
We did obtain the mixture, and there is a male profile. It looks like it's a mixture of maybe a male and a female.
The tire iron recovered from the home of Paul Bowman has been tested by the lab, and the results are in.
We did obtain the mixture, and there is a male profile. It looks like it's a mixture of maybe a male and a female, but it's unknown.
This wasn't blood or tissue that you found. This is basically just a type of touch DNA.
Yeah, they evaluated it before we did any swabbing for the presence of blood, and there was nothing.
Okay. Even though there's evidence that a male and female have touched this tire iron, there's two problems. One, the results are inconclusive. But more importantly, the lab didn't find any of Paul's blood on the tire iron. So there's no evidence that it's the murder weapon at all. All right. Thank you, Cammie, so much for taking the time.
Bye-bye.
It's not blood. It doesn't matter. Anybody could have touched it. It could be mine. We need Paul's blood. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
It was always a long shot, and now we know the tire iron doesn't help us at all, so now we need to just hit the streets. So this is Dana Harris?
That's correct.
Let's go see who's home. At the time the murder happened, the marriage between Paul and Martha had started to deteriorate. A lot of couples have unhappy marriages, but that doesn't mean they end in murder. So we need to talk to our witnesses to try and find out what was really going on in their relationship.
Did you ever see anything out of the ordinary there at the house?
We knew that they were having problems because we could hear them yelling at each other.
Did the arguing occur on a regular basis?
It seemed pretty frequent.
Did it really?
Yeah, honest, I really thought they would probably get divorced because they didn't seem to be happy together any longer. But they would pass each other just as if they didn't see each other.
What did Paul confide in you?
Well, he had told me that he felt that he married her when she was pretty young, and he allowed her to go out to bars and hang with her girlfriends and stuff like that. He just wanted her to get it out of her system.
Did there come a time where Paul thought maybe it was more than just clubs and fun and maybe a serious person?
So.
I don't recall him ever saying that he caught her cheating, but he had suspicions.
I think he was afraid that she was going to leave him and take the kids.
I think that she was enraged by the fact that he would not let her take the boys. We heard later that everything that he owned was thrown in the trash.
Pictures.
Kids don't have anything. She got rid of her wedding pictures.
Everything in that house was destroyed.
Talk about Paul. Did he ever confide in you problems that he was having with his wife at the time?
Yes, sir. He had found out that she had somebody she was interested in. She was wanting a divorce. When this confrontation started, she said, well, I'm going to get the house and I'll get alimony and I'll get child support and I'll be just fine. And he was not going to give her anything. All I've ever heard from him was that he wanted to raise his boys the same way he was raised. Both parents in the home, that's what he wanted. He always said to me, I expect to be with her the rest of my life.
All these people clearly established all the things going on in Paul and Martha's life. She was unhappy. They had almost gotten divorced. She was going out at night and partying and having an affair with Pedro. So there's a lot there to make you think, ooh, she had reason to be really desperate to get out of this marriage. And maybe she turned to the only shoulder that she probably had to cry on, which was Pedro.
Just cut to the chase. How long has he been having a romantic affair?
La amistad tuya con Marta. ¿Por cuánto tiempo ha sido romántico la amistad?
No ha sido romántico, así que digamos.
Pedro has always downplayed his relationship with Martha, so it's important for us to try and figure out how serious it really was.
We're on the way over to see the ex-wife of Pedro. I want to talk to her about how she found out about him having the affair with Martha. And
hopefully she can remember it all.
Yeah.
Pedro was divorced at the time of this murder, but he was still involved with his ex-wife Janet while he was seeing Martha.
How you feeling this morning?
Good.
How did you find out that Pedro was having an affair?
When your man don't come home for the milk, kids, he said, yes, too. I said, so you seen a married woman with 2 kids? And he's like, well, I love her. I'm sorry. He called me, and I said, I just got through talking to a detective. He goes, I know about this lady's husband. I said, yeah. They think you killed him. I said, did you kill him? He goes, no, I didn't kill him. I said, well, how can I believe you? You lied to me in my marriage for 2 years, so what's to keep you from lying to me now?
It sounds like Pedro was really in love with Martha. And it makes you wonder if he would have taken care of the only thing that stood in the way of that relationship. We still have 2 suspects, Martha Bowman and Pedro Reyes, in the 2008 murder of Paul Bowman, which tragically left 2 little boys without a daddy.
You said that you were spending the night somewhere else? Where were you staying? At my brother's friend's house that he plays baseball with.
Through the years, the boys have probably always wanted to cooperate. It's just they don't have anything new to add to the investigation.
So your mom came and picked you and your brother up. Do you know what time she picked y'all up? No.
We do, however, want to talk to Bob Ritter.
Ritter, you can have a seat over here.
Paul's sons had slept over the night before at Bob's house, and Martha went to pick them up that morning.
I do remember that she was late, like wickedly late.
Right.
You know. It was unusual for her to talk about church. I don't ever recall her previous to that.
Explain that to me.
We were busting her hump because she was late, you know, and it's like, you were so late. What church did you go to that it took you so long to get here? And she couldn't tell us the name of the church. She just kind of went, oh, you know, the one that you went to. It was just unusual. You were just there. You can't tell me the name of the dadgum church you were sitting in? Yeah. Come on.
Martha initially claimed that she had spent the day at the bakery with Carmina.
Yeah, how long did you stay at Carmina's?
Till 11:30.
Till about 11:30?
Yeah, and then I went and get my kids.
We know that was a lie because she was with Pedro. Now, according to Bob, Martha's claiming she was at church. Why does she keep changing her story?
Do you recall anything that we've missed?
The only thing that came to my recall was the conversation that one of the team members on my baseball team had with Martha. Jose Andres Batista. So he's a dad on my team.
He recalls talking to Jose.
Jose Bautista.
Yes.
He's still around, right?
He's still around.
Excellent. Bob Ritter heard this rumor that in the weeks before the murder, Martha had had this strange conversation with a man named Jose Bautista.
Just do me a favor, Jose. Just have a seat over there, and I'll be with you right here in just a second, okay?
Jose has talked to the police before, but we've called him in to make sure we get the story straight.
This is about a case. Paul Bowman was the gentleman that was murdered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I know him because he was a coach,
Right.
coaching my son.
When you were at baseball games then, you'd be in the stands, Martha would be in the stands, and that's how you got to know Martha was just there.
But my wife, she don't like to be around her.
Why?
Because she always, on the baseball field, with those high heels this high, she is walking on the concrete. You know, Mexican.
She's trying to dress sexy?
Yeah.
What did she tell you about how she felt about her husband?
She just tell me he's not a good husband with her because the way he treat her. She tell me, can you help me to find somebody to just disappear this guy?
What do you think she's meaning by saying that?
When you say that word, that means
disappear.
It's disappear, just
vanish.
Put three
Gone.
meters under the ground. And that's why I tell her, are you crazy? You have two sons, two kids. When they grow up and they ask her, where's my dad? What are you gonna tell her? I tell them, I don't care.
The importance of this cannot be stressed too much. If she solicited someone else to find somebody to kill her husband, that's an extraneous solicitation of capital murder.
Right after she's asking you if you know somebody that can do that, next thing you know, he's dead. It happened that fast.
Yeah, it's fast.
When Jose refused to help Martha, she might have turned to the man closest to her, Pedro Rios.
How far is that from here?
It's not that far. And we don't even know if he's living there.
The question is, would Pedro really kill for her? It's time for us to find out.
There's a Suburban there now.
Maybe it's Pedro.
That's what I'm hoping.
All right, wish you luck.
Pedro? Hi, Pedro. Steve Roswick, man. So, do you mind hopping in and let me talk to you real quick? Okay. In English?
Español.
Nosotros podemos hablar en español, ¿ok? Usted conoce a una persona se llama Marta, ¿sí? Y ahorita, usted y Marta son novias o... ¿Sí o no? Son novios. Y Martha no dice a usted sobre ella. Martha estaba tuvo problemas con Paul. ¿Es posible, pero usted no recuerda o
No sé, es que no sé realmente. Es que tú me quieres decir que yo te estoy diciendo algo que yo no te puedo decir, no sé. No entiendo. Yo sé que ustedes sospechan de mí. Yo nunca haría eso. Porque no así, yo... I don't know, desde entonces yo no fui el mismo. ¿Sí me entiendes?
¿Nunca pregunta Marta de qué pasó en la casa?
No, yo nunca le he preguntado.
¿Por qué no?
Y usted no creo que Martha puede hacer lo ¿sí? ¿Por qué? Dígame por qué.
Es una buena madre. Y hasta ahorita pues, nosotros no hemos tenido problemas, sino que...
Una madre es diferente de una esposa. Pedro's frustration at still being at the center of this investigation really does seem sincere, but his vague memory about the details around that time still leaves us with some doubts.
So when you look at the cell phone records, as far as Pedro's phone and Martha's phone and where those two phones were located at the times that they made calls.
Understanding a timeline is crucial in determining which of our two suspects, Martha Bowman or Pedro Rios, had the opportunity to kill Paul Bowman. We know that Paul was alive at 9:12 a.m. due to the login activity on his computer. And based on other evidence, police believe that Paul was murdered around 9:30 that morning. So we need to figure out where our suspects were around that time.
If you look at Martha's records, Martha's phone makes a call at 9:55.
And that's the first call we had that morning showing us where Martha is.
Yeah.
Martha's always admitted that she left the house that morning. And at 9:55 a.m., her phone made a call to her nephew that pinged off of a cell tower approximately 2.75 miles from her house. So if Martha killed Paul, she had a 43-minute window to do that, get on the road and get out of there, which leaves her plenty of time.
Prior to the offense that morning, Pedro's phone makes 2 calls. One's at 8:34 and the other's at 9:07. Both those calls are pinging off of a cell tower next to his house.
So when does she first call Pedro?
They do not talk to each other that morning at all.
There's no call made where she would call around 9 o'clock to 9:20 to say, hey, he's asleep, come knock him out.
Right.
There's no call. If Pedro killed Paul, he probably wouldn't go to the house unless he's sure that Paul is already asleep. So there would have had to have been a call from Martha to Pedro telling him that. But we know from their phone records there was no call between the two of them that morning. I think that helps a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The cell phone information in this case is probably the most important piece because it's objective, it's verifiable, and it suggests Pedro was at his house the morning of the murder and never got a phone call to come and kill Paul. How do y'all feel about Pedro still being on the suspect board?
Just from phone records alone, Pedro, he's just not in the timeline at all. It never puts him at the address at all.
He's cleared by his phone records.
You better believe it.
What do you think, Steve?
I don't think it was him.
Ready to mark him off?
I think he'd be marked
Ready to mark him off?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Martha Bowman is the lone suspect left up on our board. And now it's time to confront her.
Pull over right here.
It's this one? Yeah.
You hear me, Londa? Yep.
Hi, Martha. Hey, I'm Detective Stewart. I'm with Arlington PD, and I'm been assigned to work your husband's murder. Can we just sit in my car and talk about it? Okay. You get on this side of the car here.
Martha hasn't been spoken to since Byron took over the case. I'm wondering if she's going to change her story again.
That day, you remember leaving the house around 9:30 or so? Mm-hmm. You went to a bakery. Did you go with Carmina or did you go with Pedro?
I went in his house, in his truck with Pedro.
At one point you told him that it was Carmina that you went to the bakery with? Or?
I was thinking it was her, but I remember her car, it was in the back, so his truck, it was in the back. I mean, so the truck only he can get out, it was his. Mm-hmm. So I told him, you can take me and we can just buy the stuff and come back.
Mm-hmm. What was your and Pedro's relationship at that time?
That was my friend.
Just a friend? Yeah. But y'all have a baby together now?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you confide in him some of the problems that you were having with Paul?
No. I don't have no problems with Paul.
Mm-hmm. You didn't at that point?
But if you think the next door neighbor, they were constantly arguing so loud that they could be heard in the house next door.
Jose Bautista? Mm-hmm. You remember that name? You know that name? Mm-hmm. Mr. Bautista said that at one point before Paul was killed, you wanted to try to find somebody who could do away with Paul or kill Paul or something like that, to that nature. Do you recall having the conversation one time?
No.
Did you talk to him at all? Do you remember Mr. Bautista at all?
I think I gotta remember the guy. No, I never talked to him at all.
So you do remember him, right?
Yeah.
Why would he say something like that?
I don't know.
It went from not knowing Jose Bautista to, oh yeah, I remember Jose Bautista. So she lies about things that would make her look like a suspect.
You asked a lady for some alcohol, some rubbing alcohol.
She took the whole bottle and doused it on her arm and started rubbing her whole arm.
You remember doing that? Why would you take alcohol?
This arm, this still sometimes hurt.
Okay.
Since there, I have problems with my heart.
Oh, your heart? Okay.
Yeah.
Does rubbing alcohol help?
Yes.
Kind of stop the pain?
Not the pain, but it helps your arm feel like warm. Mm-hmm. And with the alcohol, it helps like fresh.
Did the doctor tell you to do that or something? Or?
No, just because my mom, she had the same problem.
Mm-hmm.
Must be an old home remedy.
Do you remember locking the door or leaving the door open?
So I locked the door.
You locked the door? Are you clear on that?
It was damaged on the...
It was damaged?
Yes.
You saying the lock was damaged?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord.
The detective and the crime scene people looked at the lock pretty closely. There's no evidence that the lock was defeated. There's no damage to the door.
So what do you think? Do you think I'll kill him? What am I going to do something like that with my kids? I had 2 kids with him. We can be divorced, so why do I need to kill somebody to go?
But isn't it true that Paul told you that if you left him, that he would have the house and he would keep the kids and you would leave with nothing?
She told me, well, I'm not going to leave the kids with you and with another man. And he's like, your ass is going to be with me all your life.
Martha just keeps continuing her pattern of lies and inconsistencies. This interview couldn't have gone any better. Steve, the PC's all typed up. We knocked out all your to-dos. We got the calls back from everybody and all the witnesses. What are y'all thinking?
I think the case is pretty solid right now.
I agree with them.
I'm pretty confident about presenting the case to the DA's office.
All right, well, y'all go. Let us know as soon as you hear something back.
We
We'll
will.
be waiting.
We'll get back with you.
We now believe that we have circumstantial evidence strong enough to ask the DA to seek an indictment against Martha Bowman for the murder of her husband, Paul. Martha has been deceptive since the beginning of this investigation.
Me and Carmina went to the store.
You weren't with Carmina. You were with him.
No, yeah, but I mean, I went...
And she continues to lie to this day.
You saying the lock was damaged?
Yes.
Oh, good Lord.
Even after 7 years, she is still suspiciously hiding her affair with Pedro.
What was you and Pedro's relationship at that time?
That was my friend.
Just a friend?
And she still doesn't want to admit she was unhappy in her marriage.
We could hear them yelling at each other.
I mean, I don't have no problems with Paul.
Mm-hmm. You didn't at that point?
Martha wanted a divorce, but Paul would not grant her one because he didn't want his boys growing up in a broken home.
He wanted to raise his boys the same way he was raised. Both parents in the home, that's what he wanted.
She was enraged by the fact that he would not let her take the boys.
Finally, we have a witness who claims that just weeks before the murder, Martha tried to find a hitman to kill Paul.
She tell me, do you know someone can help me to find somebody to just disappear this guy?
We just hope the DA agrees. What happened?
Well, they liked the case, the timeline and everything they liked. They liked the direction of the case and where it's going, but they have some additional work that they want us to do on the case.
We're down the right road.
Okay. And y'all are never going to give up, so that's great.
Yes.
It was great working with y'all.
Oh, thank you.
The DA didn't give us a hard decision today, but he likes the case, he's excited about it, and we're very encouraged that it's going to move forward.
One saying that we always say in homicide is that we speak for the dead. And Paul has a chance to have his voice heard, and the family has a chance to finally get some vindication of what happened to Paul. Well, I had a meeting with the DA's office, and they like the case. They want the opportunity to review the entire case before they make the decision to go to the grand jury, but they really feel good about the case. A lot different than last time, so we are on the right track. Everything is looking good.
Good.
We're moving forward, so.
We've been waiting to hear those words for so long.
Yeah.
My brother deserves some justice. If it would have been one of his siblings, he'd be fighting tooth and nail to find justice for us, and I know that.
We can't thank you ladies enough for what all y'all done. Detective Stewart.
Well, he's also now fired up to start working on all of his other cold cases, too.
Well, thank you so much. Am I excited? I'm so happy I could almost cry, you know. But I'm trying not to.
Your wife and your mom, I think she would really be proud of what's happening today.
My mom, I know she's smiling down on us right now. I know she is. And my brother, he'll definitely always be there.
Well, we're going to let y'all get back home and talk about it all as a family and wait for Byron's phone call.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much.
Very green, very pretty.
We are in Fairview Park, Ohio, looking into the mysterious 2007 death of Gwen Bewley. She was a very active, healthy 67-year-old woman. She's the kind of lady that I want to be when I'm her age.
From what I'm reading, she was a pretty snappy lady, wasn't she?
A spunky thing.
She liked roller skating and just totally carefree. You gotta love it at that age.
She seemed like the kind of lady that walked around making friends with everybody.
Gwen went to a roller skating lesson, came home, and shortly after that, a neighbor smelled smoke and reported the fire.
911, what's your emergency? Where at? West from the new school. He's on his way.
When the fire department arrived, they discovered Gwen's body lying on the kitchen floor. Her remains were so badly burned, she was unrecognizable.
This is a different kind of case. Fire creates a problem for us.
It complicates things.
Absolutely. Investigators suspected that Gwen's death was a murder using arson to cover it up. But fire always creates a challenge forensically. It destroys evidence, and in this case, critical clues as to how Gwen died. It's one of the reasons why this case remains unsolved.
In the world of prosecution, the #1 controversial issue is arson cases. And a lot of cases, at least back home, have been reversed.
Arson cases are the trickiest of all because it is a science. So we're going to have to go over all the evidence with a fine-tooth comb in order to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this wasn't just the case of a little old lady who died in a tragic accident.
It's been 16 years and still no answer.
Police consider her killing a cold case.
Years later, the case is still unsolved.
There are so many cold cases out there just waiting to be solved.
The crime scene ultimately tells the story of the murder.
We want to bring justice to these victims.
Oh, Yolanda McClary, nice to meet you.
Hi, Callie.
Hey, Paul. Nice to meet you finally.
Thank you.
Nice to meet
Eric
you, sir.
Upperman, nice to meet you.
Were y'all all here in 07 when this happened?
In fact, took the phone call. I took the call. Paul and I were on the same shift. I was a shift commander at the time on the 3 to 11 shift.
The case has worked beautifully. We'll hopefully make it even stronger this week, so
let's all get to work.
Very good. All right, Chief, thank you, sir.
We both have put a lot of time and effort into this case, and I just hope, working with Yolanda and Kelly, we can get over that hurdle to at least bring that to a closure for the police department as well as the city.
Hey!
Hello, ladies.
What's up, Mr. Allen Brown?
How's everybody?
This week we're bringing in Alan Brown because we don't have a lot of witnesses in this case, so we need to get all the information out of them that we can. And Alan is as skilled an interrogator as anybody. Tell them how many murders y'all have here in Fairview Park, Ohio.
About 1 every 10 years. And so it's one of those things where you can drive through the city. I remember this crime. I remember this crime.
Okay, y'all want to start by talking about our victim? That's a great picture, Paul. How'd you get that?
From the family.
Look, Yolanda, Red Hat Club.
Love it.
They're kind of known as being vivacious and lively and spunky.
Well, she fit that bill. She lived life to the fullest. Gwen was a mother, a grandmother. She was a free spirit, liked to have a lot of fun. If it felt good, she did it.
Paul, you want to start by telling us about the case the day of?
On August 29, 2007, around 4:45 p.m., we received a 911 phone call of smoke coming out along the roof line of a house.
316, can you see flames?
As I approached the house, a neighbor, Scott Shalene, came out, and there was a car in the driveway. And I said, whose car is that? And he goes, oh my God, that's Gwen's car. So I went around, and we had to retreat because of the heat.
That fast?
Yes.
She was 67. How do we know that she didn't just fall and hit her head?
Well, initially, that's what we all assumed. However, the autopsy showed something different.
The coroner's report showed no signs of carbon monoxide or soot in Gwen's lungs, indicating that she was dead before the fire started. But we're still going to need to show that her death was not an accident. With arson, that's always the first hurdle to overcome. The arson actually complicates a lot of things, what injury she sustained, and then any evidence surrounding her.
Thank goodness the fire marshal said, hey, we're going to handle it like it's a homicide.
We're going to need to meet with the fire marshal in this case. Critical, but the way he conducted it is going to be held to the highest standards to show that this is a homicide. Who do y'all want to put up first on our suspect board?
I think that'd be Scott Shalene.
Scott, her next door neighbor.
For 4 years.
Can't we say they were friends?
Yeah, neighbor, friends.
Anything about his prior criminal history that we care about?
He has assault. He has some drug possessions, fraud, passive bad checks. Scott said that I had a VA appointment. I took a bus. I got home around 4 o'clock. I smelled smoke. I checked my house.
When investigators first arrived at the scene, Scott Shalene acted as a helpful neighbor, answering questions about Gwen's home to assist the rescue effort. But once the murder investigation began, he started to look a little suspicious.
Scott's home right at the time of the fire.
Well, he said he smells it. He starts looking in his own home. In Scott's initial statement, he stated that he smelled smoke, but never saw any signs of the fire from his house. It seems odd that he wouldn't go check on his neighbor that he supposedly had a really close relationship with. Okay, who else do we have?
That'd be Timothy Shalene.
Tim Shalene is Scott Shalene's brother, who had recently moved into the neighborhood to live with his brother, and he had developed a friendship with Gwen. How would you describe his relationship with Gwen? What would you call it?
You could call him friends. She trusted him enough that she allowed him to make financial decisions.
It was a fairly new relationship. He'd only been there since May.
Only 3 months old?
Yes.
He's the last one to see her.
Last one to see her at home.
And where the crime occurred, he was the last one to see her.
On the day of the murder, Tim had lunch with Gwen and left her house around 12:45. He said he then borrowed Gwen's rental car and made a 2-hour trip to Michigan, which means he was nowhere near Gwen's house that afternoon.
Okay, so do we want to go to his list of crimes that are pertinent now? Forgery, fraud crimes, conning.
A lot of fraud.
Now, after her death, I mean, he's caught with her things.
Credit cards and a rental car.
She allowed Tim to use that car to go on his new job.
To go to Michigan and come back.
Yes, sir.
1 week after Gwen's death, Tim was pulled over for driving her rental car and arrested for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Police recovered some of Gwen's property inside that car, including 3 credit cards that Tim had been using that belonged to Gwen, as well as a laptop. Tim was allowed to borrow Gwen's car when she was alive, and maybe even her credit cards because he was her financial advisor. But using those credit cards after her death isn't just suspicious, it's also a crime that he actually served time for. Well, since y'all have so few murder cases, then you're not used to having to present it to the DA's office to convince them because you don't go do it that often.
No.
Okay. In anticipation of you going down to talk to the prosecutors about this case, all these little things that we're making you say to us, those are all the things that are very important for you to sell the case.
Right.
By the time we get done, you're going to teach you how to argue back and be rude.
Wow.
We've got a lot to do. We've got to show beyond a reasonable doubt that Gwen's death was no accident, and also that the fire marshal's investigation is going to hold up a trial. And we've also got the Shalene brothers to deal with. They both knew the victim, they both lived near the victim, so we have to figure out whether either one of them could have been involved.
I could be a small town girl. I know you don't think that, but I maybe could be.
Teach you how to work in the concession stand, play bingo.
I think it's a kind of a great homey feeling.
Hi. Today we're going to meet one of Gwen's daughters. Her name is Sue. We want to get to know her mom through her to make sure that we all have a clear understanding of Gwen's world. Tell us about your mom.
She was my children's last surviving grandparent. She was very vivacious. She went roller skating. She was on a golfing league. She didn't sit still. She was like a hurricane. Like,
really skating? That's something at 67.
Yeah. She loved life, and she lived it to the fullest. That she, you know.
I guess the other part of that, though, is that she's open to making new friends with even people that maybe she might not ought to make friends with, huh?
You know, I never thought I'd have to worry about her because she was so independent. And in Fairview Park, we didn't think you had to worry about anybody there.
You thought you could pretty much trust most people,
Yeah.
especially neighbors
Yeah.
and stuff.
And she just always said, oh, they're so helpful, they're so friendly. But I would say she was a bit too vulnerable for her own good. I understand you've won every case that you pursued. You must have some really good instincts.
You know what it is? It's all this. It's being prepared, and it's checking out every single thing we can find, and it's a team effort. We're going to do everything that we can, and let's just hope that just enough changes this week to make it finally happen.
I pray to God that they can do what they came here to do and make a difference for my mom's case.
It was very nice to meet you. Come here and give me a hug.
The first order of investigation on this case is to examine the crime scene. So we're heading to Gwen's house to get a better understanding of the layout and what happened that day. Fortunately, Fire Marshal Frank Reitmeyer has agreed to join us and help.
How are you? Good morning.
Good.
Good morning. How are you? That's where Scott and Tim lived. I pulled my cruiser up here. Scott came running out. And when I asked whose car is that, that's when he said, Oh, that's Gwen's car. Gwen must be inside the house.
Was the fence here for
Yes.
Scott to be able to see over?
That fence was there.
Okay. I gotta be honest, I did not realize how close Scott and Tim's house was to Gwen's. It makes you think, how could Scott not know that Gwen's house was burning when it was only 20 feet away? We're hoping that a look inside of Gwen's house will tell us a little more.
Right here.
We're in Fairview Park, Ohio, looking into the death of 67-year-old Gwen Bewley, whose burned body was found in her home 7 years ago.
Right here.
Oh, wow.
It's different from what it was.
Fire Marshal Frank Reitmeyer investigated the scene that day and is going to walk us through what he discovered.
She would have been right here. Yeah, so her feet were right here. And her head would have been over here.
So you can see it's almost like voids on the floor right here where she was, because her body's flat against the floor and it's not getting burned. When there's a dead body at the scene of a fire, it's crucial to investigate it like a homicide, since you only get one shot to preserve potential evidence. Fortunately, Frank Reitmeyer did just that. It's his analysis that will hopefully show us this fire was an arson and not just a little old lady who had an accident.
Frank, talk about all the things that contributed to the fire on her and around her.
You have to define an area of origin before you can define a cause. And it was very clear that the room of origin was the kitchen.
In determining whether or not a fire is a case of arson, investigators first have to rule out any electrical malfunctions or fire hazards that could have been the source. So we know there's no shorts. We know that it didn't actually start by anything on top of the stove that she was cooking.
Looking at the patterns on the remaining materials that were here, the stove, the walls, the cabinets, the body, the floor, the ceiling. Now I'm down to her body as being the area of fire origin. So the fire started here and it grows up and out, and then it impinged upon the ceiling and burnt through the ceiling.
Fire requires three things to make it work: heat, fuel, and oxygen. In this case, debris on Gwen's body was ignited and acted as fuel. A nearby cold air return vent supplied the oxygen to the fire. And as the heat intensified, the flames crept up to the ceiling and continued to spread throughout the house.
What are all the factors that go into your being able to voice an opinion as to how she wasn't just an old lady who fell and hit her head and died that way?
Finding the bits and pieces of the burnt paper and the cardboard and whatever on top of her just helped to verify that easily combustible materials were placed on top of her and then ignited.
Well, and I mean, if she had fallen, you know, hit her head like they talked and fallen and then subsequently died, how does she get all this stuff on top of her? I mean, that just doesn't make sense. You're not going to have a bunch of debris on top of you.
Well, and then how does it become ignited?
So your opinion is somebody put stuff on her and then set it on fire?
Absolutely, my opinion. She was dead before the fire of unnatural causes, and then the fire covering up, you know, the homicide.
What's your theory as to how it happens with our suspect?
Well, I think that the suspect was here and they got into a confrontation of some type.
I mean, she didn't lock the door behind her. Very easily could have just come right through the door. I don't think she saw what was coming. They might have just grabbed her, started suffocating her or choking her.
She's in the kitchen doing her thing.
Yeah, I come up, I lock it in before she can even do anything. I have her down on the ground, or I just lock her out, choke, smother, I leave.
Frank, from what I can see in the pictures, and you were there, it looks like the highest concentration of burn on her body is definitely all of her face, her neck area, into this portion of her torso, and her left arm is almost burnt off. It's possible the suspect focused on burning Gwen's head and neck to try and cover up injuries she sustained during a confrontation.
The saddest part about all this, though, is that we're standing right here in this nice, cute little safe kitchen in Fairview Park, Ohio, a nice, safe town, and her kids think their mom is safe and she thinks she's safe, and look what happens. The scenario that the fire marshal played out makes perfect sense. That, plus the evidence he discovered, is going to be crucial in showing the county prosecutor and hopefully a jury one day that beyond a reasonable doubt Gwen was murdered and arson was used to cover it up. Are y'all ready to go?
Yeah.
Okay. Now that we have a clearer picture of how the murder occurred, we need to put together a timeline for that day.
This is Kelly. Kelly's going to be out today.
Nice to meet you.
Gwen's friend, Lynn Marie Malek, talked to her that day at 2:08 p.m. That is the last time we can say for sure that Gwen was alive.
On the day of the fire, you had a phone conversation with her.
We made arrangements for the next day, but she wasn't sure, like it wasn't completed. And
Okay.
because she said, I think you remember her saying that she had to go.
Why'd she have to go?
I kind of got the impression that somebody was at the door.
So she ended the conversation as if she had to go talk to somebody else.
Right. Or do something else at that time.
But it wasn't the typical, okay, well, nice to talk to you. It was a little more
hurried is good, yeah.
Gwen hurried off the phone at 2:08 p.m. and at 4:45 p.m. neighbors called in reporting a fire at her house. So we know that her murder had to have occurred in this window. But that's a pretty big window, so we need to try and narrow that down to the most precise time possible. That's going to help us compare Scott and Tim's alibis.
That's right. Nope, gonna go take a right.
Jeffrey Kendall was stuck in traffic that very afternoon in front of Gwen's house. He may be able to help us.
I just seen this gentleman walk across, went up the porch, didn't knock, just walked in the house.
You remember what time it was about?
Oh yeah, because I get off at 3:30, so it'd take me no more than 10 minutes. It must have been 3:40 to 3:45.
Jeffrey Kendall could be a key witness in this case, and if he saw Gwen's killer outside of her house at 3:40 p.m., that could really help us narrow down this time window.
I'm not sure if there's another gentleman out. There might have been somebody else out in the front. I'm not sure if he came out of the house or he was already in front of the house. I'm having a strong sense he was already in front of the house. And there was
if you don't remember, then don't guess.
No, I'm not. But yeah, I think they were both standing there. But the second person, I have no vague of what he looked like or whatever. I believe there was a truck in there. Yeah, a Ford.
Jeffrey Kendall's heart's in the right place, and I think he wants to help. But when you look at his initial statement, and then you look at the following interviews, and there's little things added because he's watched the news footage or gone back by the house. And now it seems like he's confused and he can't speak to actually what he saw that day. He's not as good of a witness now than he was back then.
All he's good for is the time.
The 3:30 is
That's all we wanted him to say today was 3:30. Then he came out with all that other stuff.
I'd never heard that until today.
You can't pick and choose what you like and what you don't like from a witness. There's about one a case that tries to get too helpful. Yep. And then they do, and then you're done. Because everything he just said is impeachable cross-examination, so there's no point. He's toast. Two suspects in the 2007 murder of Gwen Bewley are her neighbors, Tim and Scott Shalene.
Hey, Miss Arthur, how you doing? I'm Alan Brown. We're just kind of going back over everything and making a push to try to clear it.
Good.
In order for us to get a better understanding of Gwen's true relationship with those brothers, we're going to talk to one of her closest friends, Pat Arthur.
Describe Gwen for us.
Oh, God. She trusted everybody. This is what this irritated me that she got with these guys next door to her. Because she let him go and help her with finances because she said they were, the people that work with money management like.
When you say that they dealt in financial things, management or whatever, like an actual professional
Well, that's what it sounded like she thought.
Do you think it was both the guys next door, or do you think it was just the one guy?
One was only living there by himself for a while, but I think the other one came into play somewhere along the way.
Okay, when he was living there by himself, did she ever talk about him managing her money?
I don't think so.
She's saying up until Tim came to town, she wasn't even talking about Scott.
Absolutely, yeah.
She had gotten that computer, and he was using it. He was supposed to show her how to use it, because she didn't really know how to use a computer.
And did that ever happen that you know of?
Not that I know of. I don't know if she ever got that computer back after they had it.
That computer Pat mentioned has got to be the same computer that Tim had in Gwen's rental car when he was arrested, and the police seized it. The strange thing about that is, shortly after Tim's arrest, Scott Shalene started calling the police, claiming it was his computer.
Shepard? Yes, sir. Scott Shalene again.
What's up?
I have some of my personal belongings in that car.
What is it?
I had a laptop.
Well, right now we're inventorying everything. Do you have the receipt for the laptop?
No, I don't.
How much did you pay for it?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, go ahead and look for the receipt. If you bring it up, we'll release it to you tonight. That's not a problem.
I just don't want it lost.
That's the computer Scott said was his, but it's really going to be Gwen's.
But we never gave it to him.
The question here is, why is Scott claiming that's his computer, and why is he so desperate to get it back?
We're going to need much stronger evidence to prove if Tim or Scott were involved with Gwen's murder. It's time to take a deeper look on where they were on the day she was killed. Scott has always maintained that he had an appointment at the VA at around 2:30 and then took the bus home, where he was for a short time before he started smelling smoke. Tim claimed after having lunch with Gwen, he left for a new job in Michigan at 12:45.
At the DA's office, we worked with a guy named Eric Devlin, who's also a part of our team, who's now a computer forensic specialist. He is a geek tech freak.
What's exciting is that since this crime has happened so recently, we can use cell phone records to analyze Tim and Scott's movements. We brought in Eric Devlin, a digital forensics expert, to see if they're telling the truth.
Now, a cell phone is constantly letting the towers know, here's where I am, here's where I am. That's what's called pinging it. Every time that you request data, that's where you get the tower locations of where you are, the longitude and latitude. On August 29, 2007, Tim Sheline's cell phone makes a call at 1:43 p.m. That is in the general vicinity of Miss Bewley's home.
In his words, he was on his way to Michigan or in Michigan.
At that time.
At that time. Because he said he left at 12:45. And that's what?
1:43.
1:43, so that's an hour after he's claiming he left.
Tim did not leave for Michigan when he said he did, so he's either confused or he's lying. But then again, at 1:43 p.m., we do know that Gwen was still alive.
At 2:33, Tim Sheline receives a cell phone call from Scott Sheline's cell phone number. And again, Tim's phone is within 1.5 miles of Gwen Bewley's home.
So Scott's calling Tim at 2:33.
Correct.
We can say for sure that they are not together because Tim's phone is hitting
Right. That's the point.
from the house 16 miles away. Scott's phone is making a call or receiving a call from Tim's phone.
We have two important things happening with this 2:33 phone call between Scott and Tim. First, it shows that Tim is still not on his way to Michigan. And second, Scott is near the VA building where he says he was. And we know at this point that Gwen had hurried off her phone for some unknown reason.
Then you actually have a fairly large gap.
There's two other calls, but they don't hit a tower.
Right. Tim Sheline's phone does not pick up the call. It goes to voicemail or hung up before voicemail. That's why I did not get a cell tower.
We have a whole hour in there. Tim is not picking up the phone. A whole hour from 2:56 to 3:52.
But he's making a ton of calls before. At the time of the fire, nothing's going on.
God, that matches perfectly. It's not just the answered calls that tell a story. It's also the unanswered calls. Because what's going on in the world of your suspect when he's not answering his phone?
Correct. Next call was a call that was made from Tim Sheline's phone number at 4:05 p.m.
Now, what's the distance from the house?
About 3 miles.
Everything's hitting the tower at the house. Now, at 4:05, he's 3 miles away, and people are smelling smoke.
A cell tower is an eyewitness. It's on 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So you can see that cell phone in Tim Sheline's pocket never left Ohio. So why was Tim Sheline lying and saying he was in Michigan? And what was he doing there so close to her house during all this time when he said he left at 12:45? Now that we know Tim lied about his alibi the day of Gwen's murder, it's time for us to figure out more about him. We know that Tim was caught using Gwen's credit cards after her death. He went to jail for that. But it's important for us to know whether or not Tim was taking advantage of Gwen before her death as well. So we pulled up Gwen and Tim's financial records.
3/11/30, Tim Sheline. That's
Correct.
Tim's, that's that prepaid credit card.
1 month before Gwen's murder, Tim loaded $311.30 on his prepaid credit card. On that very same day, Gwen's credit card was charged for that same amount. This clearly shows us that Tim was not only stealing Gwen's money after her death, but also before. That is a huge piece of this puzzle.
On 8/8, it's refunded back.
And she's onto it.
So not only do we know that Tim was stealing, more importantly, Gwen became aware of it and protested the fraudulent charge a week and a half later, causing the money to be credited to her account. How can we prove that Tim knew Gwen was protesting?
So he transferred the money, then all of a sudden it's gone. What happened to it? He knows that she knows something funky's happening with her credit cards.
You can't sit up in front of a jury and argue, well, we all know that's what he did. If Tim was stealing Gwen's money and she found out about that and protested it, there's his motive. But if he wasn't aware of her protesting the charges, we can't establish that he had a motive to want to kill her. Well, if 660 still existed, we could get it all.
They don't.
So how do we get it in? If we can't put a custodian of the records on the stand to justify the paperwork, the papers themselves are hearsay. So not only do we have to find evidence that Tim knew he was caught, but it has to be evidence that a witness can testify to in order for it to be admissible in the courtroom. So we have a problem. We have to prove that Tim knew the world was crumbling.
How are you going to prove it?
I'm trying to figure out how we're going to prove it. Gwen's laptop, which Tim used to help her with her financial records and which was seized by the police, might be the answer. Get the computer, because that could be the key to the whole thing. When it was initially searched, nothing pertinent was found. But we're keeping our fingers crossed that because Eric Devlin has this brand new imaging technology, we're going to be able to uncover that link that can prove what could have been Tim's motivation.
It's all yours.
Hi, Scott.
Hi, how are you?
I need to talk to you for a second. Is that okay?
That's fine.
I appreciate it.
While Eric is working on the laptop, we need to talk to Scott Shalene. It's just suspicious that he was only 20 feet away while Gwen's house was burning down and he did nothing. Add to that the fact that he was so persistent in wanting to get that laptop back out of the police custody, and it just makes you think that there's something wrong.
Before you came back home, what did you do that day?
Had a VA appointment, then came back.
So you had been home for how long prior to the fire?
I drank like half a beer when I started smelling it. And then somebody came to my door and said, hey, there's a fire next door.
I remember that weekend when I checked on you and I talked to you that you felt somewhat responsible for her death.
Well, I felt because I smelled the smoke.
Okay.
And that's where I felt guilty.
Up until the fire, you didn't know Gwen was dead?
No.
Okay. This is where you need to be honest, and this is where you need to be truthful, Scott, okay? Remember I seized the laptop that night when we arrested him? Was that your computer, or was it?
That was his computer.
Okay, so that was not yours?
No.
Okay. That computer that was Tim's was actually Gwen's?
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you know that before,
No.
Scott?
No.
Okay. And then you get to the credit cards.
That's what I understand, why she would give more than one.
And you had to have asked your brother at some point in the last 7 years, why did you have her credit cards, and what did he tell you?
I didn't charge that much on it.
That's what he said. I didn't charge that much on him. But why did he have them in the first place?
He didn't answer that question.
Scott actually seems very believable, and he also seems truly surprised that that laptop was not his brother's. But until Eric is completely done processing that laptop and we know what all is on it, we can't cross him off the board.
Hi, this is Detective Harrington from Fairview Park Police Department. How are you?
Good. We know that Tim Shalene was stealing from Gwen before and after her death, but it's still a big leap to go from con man to killer. We need to talk to some of the women in Tim's life so we can have a better understanding of what kind of man he is and what he's all about.
What was your relationship with Tim?
Working relationship. He took pictures and stuff for like glamour shots, and then I did the makeup and stuff. It just got really, really bizarre.
What did you mean, like, that the relationship was bizarre?
Like in the phone calls, he was telling me that he loved me, wanted to be more than friends. I mean, he told me he was going to kill me and my kids.
If you didn't date him, then he threatened to kill you.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever go out?
Yeah.
Yeah? How many times?
After 2 or 3 times, I just didn't have a good feeling. So then he wasn't really nice about me telling him I wasn't interested.
Was he belligerent?
Belligerent, yes. He got nasty.
He got nasty.
Something's wrong with him. He's nuts. He's not who he says he is.
He is the most manipulating person I've ever met in my life. Scared the daylights out of me.
Can you give us some examples?
I mean, this one particular time, I just had enough, and he threw me to the floor, and he ended up biting my arm, and I was screaming and got him off of me, called the police, and he went to jail, and there he was knocking on my door the next day. That's the way he was. He was a stalker. He said it's like the devil gets a hold of you, and he's smarter and wiser than you, and you can't win.
This case went from being a puzzle and a cold case is a challenge to very, very scary. And this might be the worst guy that we've chased. Seriously.
Hi, this is Detective Harrington.
Hey, folks, I don't mean to interrupt, but I managed to finish the computer and actually found something you may want to see.
The evidence is mounting against Tim Shalene for the murder of 67-year-old Gwen Bewley. But our case still hinges on finding evidence that proves that he was aware of the fact that Gwen had caught him stealing. So we're not looking for computer records that say, I'm planning on killing Gwen. We just want him looking at 660 rewards before the murder, and then everything is nice and pretty and you can make it work.
Verification records more than anything.
Exactly.
We've talked to all the witnesses. We've examined all the evidence. Our last hope is that laptop computer. And Eric Devlin says that he might have found something. Hi, Sunshine.
Good morning.
We hope you're tired.
I am very tired.
Excellent.
I managed to finish the computer this morning about 3:30.
Oh, wow.
So I actually extracted the hard drive from the computer, created a good forensic image. It's exactly what you're going to want when you actually bring it into court.
We have got to find information on this computer to show that Tim Shalene was aware Gwen Bewley protested his charges, because that would threaten to send him back to prison.
What I was able to find was that on August 16th, this computer accesses the Reward 660 site, and not just the site, it actually accesses a member site. Basically, you had to use a username and login. That comes back to Tim's accounts. And 12 more times he checks on this computer this account.
So you got it before her murder, and it's in his possession.
We know that on August 8th, Gwen protested a charge on her credit card, and it's the same amount that had previously funded Tim Shalene's Reward 660 account. Now we can show that Tim Shalene knew about that protest because he logged on to that 660 account several times, including the morning of Gwen's murder, with his own password and email account on Gwen's computer, which was recovered from his car the day he was arrested 7 years ago. Oh, it's so sweet how things work out.
He's checking all right around coming up to the time of the murder.
Then he goes over to her house and has a friendly lunch. Mm-hmm. That's good.
That I somehow don't think was so friendly by the time it was all said and done.
Rebuilding the web pages is one of the most difficult things. It's advantage of literally the latest bit of technology. I can tell you that the stuff I was able to find isn't anything that their experts would have been able to find at the time they examined this computer. The software program I used, this version was actually released less than a month ago.
A month-old technology allows us to say for sure that Reward 660 happened. And you'll come back and testify for these guys if they go to trial.
Yes, ma'am. Happy to do it all the time.
Perfect. Perfect. You're worth a penny. Tim's world was crumbling around him, and now not only do we have the evidence to prove it, we have somebody who can testify to it. Yay, well, I'm glad you're a nerd, man. Thank you so much. With all the information we have that points to Tim Shalene, it's time for us to figure out what to do with his brother, Scott. What are your feelings about Scott Shalene, Paul?
I don't believe Scott had anything to do with her homicide or the fire.
And his reactions to the fire and her death is not one of a guilty guy at all.
You felt somewhat responsible for her death.
Well, I felt because I smelled the smoke.
Okay.
And that's where I felt guilty.
Scott was Gwen's neighbor for 4 years and never had any issues or problems with her until his brother showed up. The cell phone records confirm Scott's alibi and show us that he was miles away from Tim at the time of the murder. After talking to Scott, his story is still the same, and he seems to be truly upset about what happened to Gwen. Taking all that into consideration, we are very confident that Scott Shalene had nothing to do with Gwen Bewley's murder. I think that you're not just taking him off the board, you're not just checking off a to-do for your prosecutor, you're making him a key witness against his own brother. And he's going to be a good witness. Now that Scott Shalene has been cleared after all these years, it is time to confront Tim Shalene. This is it. I mean, this is the whole part of the plan you've been waiting for. Tim is still on parole for being convicted of being in possession of Gwen's rental car and also being in possession of her credit cards. He has a meeting with his parole officer today, so Paul has arranged that he be held at the office, and we're going to go down there to approach him.
Once he's off probation or parole, he can go anywhere in the country he wants. He has nothing to bind him.
Yep.
So this is why time really is of the essence. Yes. He hasn't shown up yet.
What? Paul just got a call. Tim has not shown up for his appointment. You think he's left town?
If he doesn't show up there, he's gone.
We're on our way to surprise Tim Shalene at his meeting with his parole officer. The problem is he hasn't shown up for the meeting.
Yes, sir? He's in the lobby now. I'm on my way up there. All right, thank you. You're gonna talk to him? He definitely wants to talk to me. All right, let's go. Tim?
There's a lot of questions you could answer.
No, you're trying to get me to incriminate myself on something I didn't do.
Well, I'm trying to get you to answer our questions.
You know something? I can't do that. Why don't you refocus on her daughters? Her greedy daughters that wanted her money.
That's who you think did it?
Yes.
That's a mean man. He's got the coldest, meanest looking blue eyes I've seen on a person in a long, long time. He might not be real big, but he's a really scary man. We can't force him to talk to us, but that's okay because cold cases aren't usually solved by confessions. It's always all the little pieces and inconsistencies like the ones we've learned about this week. How do you feel about your case now?
Question that they've always asked us every time we try and take this to them is there anything new? Well, now we do have things that are new.
We were able to show beyond a reasonable doubt that Gwen was murdered and this fire was an act of arson.
She was dead before the fire of unnatural causes, then the fire covering up the homicide.
By using cell phone records, we were able to show that Tim lied about his whereabouts on the day of the murder.
States that he is in Michigan. Tim's phone is within 1.5 miles of Gwen Bewley's home.
And Tim was not answering his phone during the window of time that we believe Gwen was murdered. We have a whole hour in there. Tim is not picking up the phone. Add that to Tim's crazy history of violence toward women.
It's like the devil gets a hold of you and you can't win.
You got nasty.
He got nasty.
If you didn't date him, then he threatened to kill you.
Yeah.
This guy is not going to leave women alone. And lastly, with the use of state-of-the-art computer forensics, we were able to show that Tim knew Gwen caught him stealing her money.
August 16th is the first time he checks on this computer, this account.
Then he goes over to her house and has a friendly lunch. You can see every bit of this story laid out before your eyes.
You're there.
Are you ready to take it to your prosecutor?
He's ready.
All right, let's go. Okay. We'll let y'all know as soon as we hear. Keep your fingers crossed.
Kelly and Paul are presenting the case to the county prosecutor, and as always, anticipation is killing us. All of the hard work put into this case over all these years is finally coming to this moment.
All right. Tommy, you got it.
You got it?
We got it. All right, thank you. After 7 years, they've agreed to take it to the grand jury, and I'm very happy about that. We put a great deal of effort in, and now we have reached the goal. That's a really good feeling for me.
He summarized it, and the DA was very impressed. Paul has never presented a murder case to a prosecutor before, and he did his presentation like an old pro. I'm so proud of Paul.
Really helped us organize, brought up new information, stuff we didn't have before, so really there were no holes.
Let us know if you need anything else. All right, Kelly, time. And we're going to go tell Sue the good news.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
Good. We're doing that.
She'll be so excited.
Okay.
It is so incredible to be able to tell Gwen's daughters this news. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
You too. Thank you. Okay.
How are you?
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. After 7 long years, they're finally going to have answers as to who's responsible for the murder of their mother. Well, we are very excited to tell you that after all these years, the county prosecutor is going to present a case against Tim Shalane for the murder of your mother. It's a good day, it's a good case, and you should love Paul Shepard and Tom Harrington.
It's taken 7 years, and I'm grateful that Kelly and Yolanda have gotten us where we are now. I really hope that my mom knows we didn't give up until we got to this point.
My mother didn't deserve to die like that, and she needs justice. We need closure, and I want this man put away. Thank you for taking my mother's case.
It was an honor to work for y'all and to get somewhere with your case.
I knew in my heart that there would be justice at some point. It's just a good feeling to move forward. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. So call Paul. He's waiting to talk to you. Yes. I'm so glad you came so we could give you good news in person. Gwen Bewley was...
Debbie Bailey was 32 years old, married.
2 little sons. She's home playing Monopoly and watching movies with her boys because that's the most important thing, and look what happens. Back in February 1997, Debbie Bailey left her house around 11 on a Saturday night. Her husband, Barry, said he woke up and discovered her missing.
We really suspect foul play. Real worried. There's something really bad going on.
The next morning, she was found shot in the head 4 times on the side of the road.
The big question is, what was she doing there?
Doesn't make a lot of sense. Immediately following her death, Barry Bailey told the police that a drug deal gone bad could have been the cause of her murder. After Deborah was killed, I don't understand why her husband had the need to say ugly, ugly things about her to everyone he ran into, including the kids.
Forensically, this is a challenging case because while some evidence and fingerprints were tested, the results were inconclusive.
Even though this case is 17 years old, we have a lot of witnesses.
There is a lot of really good clues.
A bunch of little bitty things, and if we can put them all together in a nice logical story, then maybe we can convince the DA here to move forward. The Yakima County Sheriff's Department always considered Barry Bailey to be a potential suspect in his wife's murder, but there's never been enough evidence to prove that. If it is true, we're going to need to try and do just that.
It has been 16 years and still no answer.
Police consider her killing a cold case.
Years later, the case is still unsolved.
There are so many cold cases out there just waiting to be solved.
The crime scene ultimately tells the story of the murder.
We want to bring justice to these victims.
Look, apples.
Wow, that's so freaking cool.
Be careful for worms and stuff.
Hi,
Good
guys.
morning. Hello.
I'm Kelly.
Kelly Dave Johnson.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Judd
Oh,
Talbot.
nice to meet you.
Glad to have you here.
Well, we're happy to be here. We hope y'all aren't regretting this yet.
We want cuffs on by Friday.
Well, maybe we can work that.
Okay.
Well,
we have a war room.
Let's go see it.
All
Let's
right.
go see it.
I received the case in January of '99. I met Debbie's parents and felt compelled to work for them.
Nubbin Chambliss. Hey, Steve. How you doing? How you doing?
Steve Spingola, sir. Steve, nice to meet you, sir.
Yolanda and I have Steve Spingola coming back this week, and for the first time, we're bringing back Nubbin Chambliss.
Dave?
Morning.
Nubbin, how you doing? Judd, nice
to meet you.
I've been in law enforcement for 33 years before I retired in '06. And a couple of years ago, I had the opportunity to work with Kelly and Yolanda.
Baby, high five.
I said, man, that'd be my goal to get to do another case with them. And lo and behold, 2 years later, I got a call. Of course, I jumped at the opportunity.
This should be a great team.
You said y'all had how many detectives work on this case?
I think I'm the 6th or 7th guy that's been assigned to it. This case went through different investigators' hands. They were never able to really nail down enough evidence to charge anyone because this is strictly a circumstantial case, and those are very, very hard.
Well, y'all want to start with putting our first picture up of our victim?
Debbie was the mother of 2 boys, beautiful lady, 32 years old,
Miss Congeniality.
in the competition for Miss Washington. She was a wonderful mother, according to her parents, all of her friends and family.
Y'all want to tell us about the crime scene and what happened?
In the early morning of February the 16th of 1997, a small 2-door Volkswagen was pulled off on the edge of the road. The car was seen by witnesses a number of different times. Finally, a passerby stopped and actually saw a female in the car and called law enforcement.
Yeah, I just found a car, and there's a lady in it. She's not conscious at all, but there's blood all over the place. Yeah, there's blood.
Deborah Bailey was slumped forward. In her vehicle, she'd been shot.
The murder weapon was a .22 caliber semi-automatic handgun. Up to this day, we have no idea where the murder weapon is.
The time frame of her death was sometime between 11 o'clock in the evening on the 15th and the time of her discovery early on the 16th.
According to Barry Bailey and their 2 sons, the whole family watched movies that night. Barry fell asleep on the couch around 10 o'clock, and later on, Debbie put the kids to bed.
Barry says he wakes up around 12:30, 1 o'clock, and she's gone.
Okay, let's start with all of the things that we think are incriminating against Barry.
The husband. He started calling a friend by the name of Cindy Hill, who worked at 911, reporting that his wife was missing.
He never calls the real 911. He keeps calling her.
Right.
Oh, I woke up, I'm on the couch, and she's out with her friends or something, like shit. I tried calling her cell phone, turned off or something.
He tries to create an alibi.
So he's not just alibying himself, he's making sure it's recorded.
That's right.
This call, which was made from Barry's home phone, corroborates his alibi, which begins at 1:23 in the morning. What's curious about this call is that Barry seems a whole lot less concerned about his missing wife than he does about making sure his statement is recorded.
It's a matter of record. Doesn't he say that at one point? It's a matter of record.
He does. He does.
What about all the statements he's making after she has passed away that everybody else is saying is incorrect about her life?
Right.
Well, I should go back in there and store up away. It's like hundreds and hundreds of bucks every month.
After Debbie's murder, Barry talked to everybody from law enforcement to the local media, trying to tell everyone that she was the biggest drug addict in Yakima County and spending all of their money on drugs. Story evolves into she's the biggest doper in Yakima County.
Correct.
But the thing about it is all of her friends say she might have been a recreational drug user, but she was a wonderful employee and a loving mother, unlike the way Barry was describing her. What about the telephone?
A phone call came in at 11:19 to Barry's cell phone.
Last 43 seconds.
While Barry says he's asleep, his phone answers a call the sheriffs believe was made by a man named Timmy McKimmey. Timmy McKimmey is the unknown in this case. Law enforcement has always suspected Barry Bailey in his wife's murder, but now we have a phone call that connects Timmy McKimmey to Barry at the same time, which makes us ask ourselves if Timmy can be connected to the murder of Debbie also.
They're friends.
But he doesn't really know Deborah too well, just through Barry, right?
Just through Barry.
Timmy gave 2 statements, did the polygraph, failed miserably, and then lawyered up.
Question number 1, do you know for sure who shot Debbie? He said no. He failed that pretty bad. Did you plan with anyone to kill Debbie? And he said no. Those are the high spikes.
Polygraphs are not always reliable and they are not admissible in the courtroom, but the results of Timmy McKimmey's polygraph sure make you wonder if he knows more or if he's involved. So what we would like to try to do this week is be able to answer definitively if Barry Bailey did it alone and he's the shooter and all by himself, or if he's the hirer and possibly Timmy McKimmey is the shooter and or the getaway driver.
That's right.
If Barry and Timmy are involved, we want to build a case that shows their motive, but we're also going to need a timeline that clearly shows that involvement. We are also going to have to disprove Barry's claims that drugs played a role in all of this. He's always talking, he's always calling, he's even complaining and criticizing y'all. Did he ever quit talking to y'all?
Yes, he did stop talking after statement number 7, I think, 6 or 7.
Talking to Barry is going to be crucial in this case because nobody has talked to him in 15 years. With the evidence that we find this week, we can take another run at Barry and hope to get the justice that Debbie and her family...
Morning, folks.
Morning. Morning.
Kelly, Yolanda, these are the Smothermans.
Hi. Debbie's parents and her brother Scott have been involved in this investigation for all these years. They were close to her in her life all the way up until the time of her murder.
Debbie was full of energy from the day she was born, and she never slowed down. She was a daddy's girl.
She always helped me do whatever I wanted, baled hay, whatever. She was just always there for me no matter what. I mean, she's one of those people that always looked out for the little guy.
She had a lot of love.
Who wants to claim credit for her beautiful looks?
And she was also Miss Washington?
She got Miss Congeniality in the contest.
Okay.
What kind of mom was she?
Oh, her boys were her life, and she watched over them like a little mother hen.
After Debbie died, Barry kept custody of their 2 boys. What kind of contact do y'all have with the boys?
You know, we've tried, but they don't have much to do with us.
How about with Barry?
None.
Barry called Carl and Pearl and Scott that morning when Debbie went missing, so they went to the house, and they were still there when law enforcement kind of unexpectedly showed up.
They said that they had found her and that she had been murdered. And Barry says, I bet it had something to do with drugs.
I'm not saying that she, didn't smoke marijuana or didn't take some drugs. I don't know for sure. But she would never go to the extreme to where she wouldn't be able to take care of her boys. She would never do that.
So what we're going to do now is start talking to all these people on the list, one by one.
Been a lot of people praying for something like this. You don't realize how many.
Tell them to keep praying.
Thanks, man.
A true story for you on what happened in there.
You're watching Cold Justice.
We're investigating the murder of Debbie Bailey, a mother of two, and a former Miss Washington contestant. She was last seen alive around 11 p.m. on February the 15th, 1997. An eyewitness who was driving home that night saw Debbie's car on a mountain road around 11:20.
In your recollection, it wouldn't take you any longer than 20 minutes to drive
it would not.
to that point on the hill.
No. Because it was so dark, our eyewitness couldn't see whether Debbie was alone in the car that night, so we need to try and figure out what was going on in the world of our suspects at around that same time.
Thank you so much.
Barry Bailey was always considered a suspect in this case. Timmy McKimmey did not come into the picture until the sheriff's department collected cell phone records from Barry Bailey's phone, which showed an incoming call that night at 11:19, and that call traced back to a friend of Timmy McKimmey's, whose name is Gary Van Horn.
Tim McKimmey came over about 9 o'clock.
Was he invited?
No, he just showed up.
Nice.
Do you remember anything about phone calls?
Yeah, he went in the kitchen and talked.
And you heard that conversation?
No. I have no idea what he was talking about.
Okay.
He gave me $25 to use my truck.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Timmy later on said that he phoned Barry about a job, but he denied using that truck. Later on, he says he did use the truck for a beer run. He never could explain why he needed to borrow a truck to do something he could have done with his own car.
You say you do remember McKimmey leaving?
Yes. Either 11 or 11:30.
I thought it was odd. But
Yeah, well.
Why did you think it was odd?
for somebody to go using somebody's truck at night like that, I thought it was very strange.
Yeah, I kind of fell asleep a little bit. Tim woke me up like 12:30 to 1:45. He gave me my keys for my truck.
When Barry was questioned about the phone call from Tim McKimmey, he denied it until he was confronted with Timmy's statement. Then he changed his story and said, oh, they had talked about fixing a car. Both men seemed to want to hide that phone call and what they were doing during that time period, so we need to figure this out. What if we put a timeline on the board where both Barry and McKimmey are unaccounted for?
See where we can get it.
Yeah, let's start doing that.
A strong timeline can establish that our suspects had the opportunity to commit the crime. We need to piece together who was where and at what time, and then look for gaps and inconsistencies.
Okay, so the time we want to start with the night before is what? What time does Timmy go to Gary Van Horn's?
9 o'clock.
Okay, next.
10:15, Barry falls asleep.
What's Debbie doing around this time?
Watching movies with the kids.
Debbie is putting them in bed at 11.
At 11:19 p.m., Timmy makes a phone call from the Van Horn's house to Barry's cell phone. At 11:20 p.m., Debbie's car is spotted on the road, which means Debbie and possibly Barry traveled to the crime scene while Timmy was still at the Van Horn house. Timmy leaves there at 11:30 p.m. and doesn't return back till 1 o'clock a.m.
Okay, next.
Barry calls Cindy.
1:23. Investigators were unable to find anyone to corroborate either Barry's alibi from 11 p.m. to 1:23 a.m. or Timmy's from 11:30 p.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. when he returned to the Van Horns.
All right, you have Timmy on Barry with a gap at the same time.
About an hour and a half. It's interesting that Barry and Timmy share this time frame. It's right after they talk on the phone and around the time that Debbie's car appears. It makes you wonder if Barry and Timmy could have been together.
All right, so let's do the math. If Timmy leaves the house to drive to the scene, how long is that going to take him? And be conservative, err in his favor.
He can do it in 30.
Okay, so we got 30 minutes to get there.
For Timmy to drive to the murder scene, pick up Barry, drop him off at home, then make his way back to the Van Horns could have all been completed within a 90-minute time frame. Even for a scenario where Timmy is the shooter. He could have showed up alongside the road, shot Debbie, with Barry being the lookout, and then picked Barry up and drove off.
They're both unaccountable during that time.
At the crime scene, this little alcove cut out on a mountainside. They have her car that's been an impound all these years.
Early on in the investigation, we refused to give the car that Deborah was killed in back to her husband, Barry Bailey. It was important to us because it was the crime scene. Putting the car back could be used to help explain what the original detectives had seen that day.
Get to see the area and how remote it is.
Yes. At nighttime, this would be very dark out
Oh,
here.
my gosh, yeah. I can't see her coming out here at 11 o'clock at night by herself.
No.
Perfect place to do a murder.
We're at the crime scene where the Yakima County Sheriff's Office found Debbie Bailey shot in 1997. Hi.
Hello. Well, hey, boy, you talk about an isolated spot.
Not only do we have the actual vehicle that Debbie was found in, but Jeff Gillespie, the original lead investigator on the case, is showing us firsthand what they initially discovered.
So her car is consistent with coming from her house. Show us what y'all found with the car.
Yes.
Well, when I got here, which was about noon, there was a female slumped in the driver's side seat, and she had obvious head trauma. She was obviously deceased and had been for a while. I could tell there were 322 shell casings right outside the driver's side door.
The location of the casings, where they are near the front driver's wheel. That makes the first scenario we imagined one where a person just walks up to Debbie and shoots her 3 times in the head. Very possible. There could be another scenario because there's also evidence that somebody had been sitting in Debbie's passenger seat that night.
I thought there was something in the back seat.
Her purse. Her purse was in the back seat.
Zipped up.
99% of the women put their purse on the front seat if nobody's sitting there.
That's true. Yep. If my purse is in the back seat of a car, somebody's in the way in the passenger side. Otherwise, I would have it right there beside me. I don't ever put my purse away from me. No girl does. That tells us that whoever was with her that night could have ridden with her. So why were the shots fired from outside the car?
You can see the amount of mud that's still on that rocker panel. It was like the width of maybe a heel on a boot or a shoe.
Yeah, you're trying to get out and your foot just skims on it like that.
But it was obviously fresh.
Right, right. In this scenario for Debbie's shooting, the passenger who came with Debbie could have been the one who killed her.
So you get in the car.
The passenger who was with Debbie that night actually got out of the car. Their right foot, the heel, scraped against some of the mud. And then he walked behind the car. Debbie stayed in the car, told her to roll her window down.
She rolls the window down. So I'm rolling it down, pretend like it's down. Okay, so I thought she looked around at her shooter.
No, she's looking straight ahead.
Then why is he going around and coming back toward the front of her?
If he went around back, he'd have plenty of time to get the gun out there.
Of course, so she couldn't see it, but we know that it is coming in this angle.
Okay. Okay, so now stick your arm out the way you're holding the gun. Is that the right distance?
Easily.
Yeah, easily. 6 to 30 inches.
Bang. Bang. Bang.
3 times. Then comes around. Bang.
Bang.
4th shot into the back side of the head.
The passenger who might have ridden with Debbie would have still needed a separate driver to get away from the scene. So either our driver or the passenger in Debbie's car could have fired the shots that killed her. The question is, why would they do it and take nothing from the car?
Nothing from her purse, nothing from her. Jeff Gillespie actually brought Barry to the crime scene 8 days after the murder. At that time, Barry had not been given certain specific details of the murder, such as how many times Debbie had been shot.
I said, well, Barry, why don't you go ahead and tell me what you think happened here? And he said, well, she met up with her drug dealer, rode out to this area, and then she owed him, he said, I think like $75 or $100. He said that her drug dealer needed to get out and take a piss, and that gave him the excuse to get out of the car. They walked up to the car, bang, bang, bang. Then he paused for a while, then went one bang again, she was dead.
Without any details of what happened that night, Barry was able to reconstruct down to pretty good detail exactly what happened, just like all these investigators have always thought it happened. If this really was a case of drug dealers and a drug deal gone bad, then why is her purse still sitting in the back seat unopened? It just doesn't make any sense. We need to find out whether or not Barry's claim that Debbie was doing a lot more than just recreational drugs is true. Let's talk to our witnesses and see how far we can get. All right? All right.
Investigators never found a connection between drug dealers and Debbie's murder. But they did find people like Terry Morton, a friend of Debbie's and Barry's.
Did he ever tell you who he thought would have done something this terrible? I mean, did she have somebody?
I think he said that he felt it was a drug dealer type thing, you know.
Did you ever know who her source was?
Well, the last person I knew it was Tim McKimmey, you know.
Timmy was giving her the dope.
Everybody was getting it from him.
Terry's claims that Timmy could have been a drug dealer is a big deal, but it doesn't really tell us that Debbie was putting herself in debt over drugs.
She was an occasional user. It wasn't running her life.
How much was she typically paying for that at that point?
Barry would give me weed, and then he'd give me a little bit of cash in trade for that.
You're telling me that he's the one that was doing the purchasing.
Right.
If Barry really was putting up the cash or dealing drugs himself in exchange for cocaine, then why would he try to make her into this horrible drug user and he had nothing to do with all of it?
4 couples of us went out on a limo ride. And basically, I was there to supply the dope.
He ain't gonna hold back about it, is he?
No.
So he was buying it for her?
And him.
And himself?
And him.
According to our witnesses, Barry Bailey was doing drugs, trading drugs, and buying drugs. For a guy who pretends like his wife had such a horrible drug habit, it sure sounds like he was doing all that he could to facilitate it.
I mean, we all bitch about our old ladies, you know, this way he said I've looked at me straight on. He goes, but I've been thinking about taking her on a fishing trip and tipping the boat over, and when she reaches for the oar, crack the bitch over the head. And then to find out that like a month later she got killed, I believe it was Barry, straight up Barry. Yeah, 100%.
Excellent. Excellent.
Based on this timeline, both Barry Bailey and Timmy McKimmey had the opportunity to murder Debbie. But we're going to have to better understand Barry and Debbie's relationship to figure out if there's a motive in the middle of it. Barry Bailey's previous wife said he was abusive to her, so we need to try and figure out whether or not that pattern of abuse continued.
What was the relationship between Barry and Debbie back in that time?
I know there was a few times he blew up at her. He pushed her one time.
So you got physical with her? Just a push?
Yeah, and I was like, holy crap.
She ever talk about it was so bad in the marriage that she was going to divorce Barry?
I know that she did say, because he was married once before, that, you know, if he would never lose everything to a wife again.
He wouldn't lose anything to a wife again.
Like property, you know. That's what I used to hear him say.
Hear him say.
According to all the records, Barry and his first wife split their finances 50-50, but he was complaining that he deserved more.
Thank you very much.
If Barry and Debbie really were fighting and a divorce was imminent, could that be the reason why all of this happened and that's his motive?
Star, we thank you so much for coming in.
Star was a friend of Debbie's. They met through Debbie's job, an interior design company.
One day she came down really upset. Well, she called me and said she'd like to talk with me because at that time I had a nonprofit called CARES, and I helped women get divorces and protection orders and things.
Wow.
And I said, well, what's going on? And she told me that her husband, he was very abusive to her, physically and emotionally, mostly emotionally, that he was very controlling, and it wasn't too long after that she was dead.
We know she never filed any paperwork, but the question is whether Debbie ever mentioned the threat of divorce to Barry.
She just didn't want it to get back to Barry that she was talking to people.
Okay.
You know, when the abuser who controls you knows that, that's the most dangerous time.
This is the number for Julie Cabrick.
Yeah.
Julie Cabrick was probably Debbie's closest friend. She was also her employer. She talked to Debbie almost daily, and there had to have been a time as her best girlfriend that she knew a lot of what was going on in the marriage of Debbie and Barry.
He had hit her and hurt her. So she got a horrible thing, but she waited until he'd gone to sleep, and she tied the sheets down to the bed so he couldn't get away. And she smacked him several times with a frying pan and told him that if he ever hit her again, that she was going to beat him a lot harder than that. She was becoming more independent, and he didn't like it.
Okay.
Shortly before she was killed, she had come to me. She had mentioned that she was looking at getting a divorce, and because of all the illegal things that Barry had done, no matter what, if they got a divorce, she would get divorced. My thought is that he just decided, all right, I'm not going to lose my house, I'm not going to lose this stuff, I'm not going to lose the boy, so I'm going to kill you. So he just shot her. That's what I think happened. I think that she took a heck of a lot of damning evidence to her grave.
Okay.
Throughout the years before and after Debbie's death, Barry was convicted of stolen property crimes, arson, theft, abuse, but Debbie also was aware of his continuingly ongoing criminal activities with drugs and stolen cars and things like that. If she had been threatening to tell the world about that, maybe that's our motive.
Look how much she just adds to the case all by herself.
Yeah.
We now have a motive for Barry. We already had the opportunity for him and Timmy to commit this crime. Now we need to figure out if there's a means for them to have done it. We know Debbie was shot with a .22 caliber pistol. After the murder, Barry did turn over all of his weapons to the authorities, but none of those weapons matched. We need to try and figure out if there was some other gun that either Barry or Timmy had access to. Starting with the one that all of the investigator notes say Debbie owned herself.
Barry and me and Debbie were all sitting at the kitchen table, and she come out and got her gun that Barry had bought her. It was small. It was about like this, and I know that gun has never been around since. And I know that gun exists. I touched that gun.
If anyone knows where this gun went, it might be Al Farnsworth. Al worked closely with Barry in the years following Debbie's murder on construction jobs, and in 2001 he called the authorities because of some suspicious statements that Barry made to him.
Back here putting the hotel frame up. And we're down there, we're digging the dirt out, putting rebar in, and he said that the murder weapon is in many small pieces and scattered throughout some river. He also said that I wish I hadn't done it.
And what was he referring to when he said he wished he hadn't done it?
The murder.
The murder? Is that your interpretation or what he said?
No, that's my interpretation.
Okay.
What else could it be? He was actually going to tell me about it, and I shut him up.
Al Farnsworth made a statement back then about this gun that Barry told him he threw in the water. It wasn't enough at the time, along with everything else, to make the prosecutors want to move forward. But when you take that statement along with the other witnesses who will say that Debbie had a gun that's now missing, you get a clearer picture of the idea that our murder weapon might be that weapon of Debbie's that's never going to be found.
Do you regret not letting him talk?
I think about that. But then I'm up for getting shot in the back of the head. Same as his wife.
Yeah.
All throughout the week, we've been following every lead we can to try and find Timmy McKimmey.
You still see Tim?
No.
I don't know. I just understand he lives out of town.
You think he's still in the Yakima area, or is he out of state?
I don't really know.
He's the real play here. He's the real potential. He would be the witness a prosecution would want to cut a deal with as long as he's not the shooter. We called all of his old jobs. We talked to his ex. Somebody said he's couch surfing now, which is a new term I've never heard.
We searched and searched, and we weren't able to find Timmy.
Maybe we'll get lucky.
He's pretty much gone off the grid. He's not getting a government check that we can find. What happened?
She's been there since August.
So he's not at this house?
No.
He might have gotten word that we're looking into the case, or maybe he's just dropped out of sight. We just don't know. We meet with the DA tomorrow, so we're headed back to town to work on the probable cause. In the meantime, Steve and Judd are headed to Idaho to try and talk to Barry. We might not have been able to find Timmy and talk to him, but Barry doesn't know that. So hopefully we can use what information we do have to our advantage.
Good golly. How far is it out here?
I don't know, man. I'm telling you. We're running out of gas before we get there. We're driving about 3.5 hours by car to actually go locate Barry. He's living in Idaho on a, I must say, a ranch. It almost looks like a mini junkyard when you get there.
This is going to be the house.
This is the house?
That might be the house. Right here.
I got somebody in the shop.
That's probably him.
We knocked, and when he opened that door, I thought he was about to have a heart attack. He couldn't believe that law enforcement was standing on his property.
This is regarding the Deborah Bailey homicide.
Right. Honestly, I really I mean, I think about Debbie almost every hour of every day. I tell you, whoever or what, it could even be a group, who knows, but I'm pretty convinced it was some Mexicans or some kind of, you know, she owed money, a lot of money, and...
Who was she buying it from?
I was never in that circle and didn't want to be.
Well,
I hate drugs. I've always hated drugs. But these, just like the beheadings you see on TV now, and the Mexican cartel down in Mexico, all the beheadings and the horrible, horrible violence. The world is a shitstorm, man. And it's,
this is
the
true.
value of human life is lessened every day. The value of the marriage, the sanctity of marriage, all of that.
You know the gun that you bought for Debbie, that 22? You were at a party. Debbie brought the gun out.
Never in front of me.
She said you bought it for her. She was all proud about it.
Debbie hated guns. That's a real mystery. But is it possible that I did get that to give it or sell it to Debbie and she sold it to somebody but didn't? And she kept it all those years? Because Debbie did tell me some lies and did hide a lot of stuff from me, so that's all I can say.
Did you and Debbie ever talk about divorce?
I guess she was working on some sort of divorce, which shocks me. I heard that way after the fact. Didn't know a thing about that.
Convince me, tell me why you wouldn't have killed Debbie.
I couldn't do something like that. I couldn't harm her.
You ever remember telling Al Farnsworth you were sorry you did it?
No, I don't. Al said that?
Al said that you said that.
I might have said there's times that I'm not sorry she's gone. There was things about Debbie, you know, let's face it, everyone's got, you know, there's things about her that I'm like, I guess I don't miss that, you know.
You also said the gun that was used was cut up and in the river, thrown in water. Did you ever make that statement?
No.
Would you be willing to take a polygraph or not?
No. That's crazy talk. That's weird.
How would Al know that unless you told him?
I don't remember. I don't tell him. Debbie didn't tell him like that. Why would I tell him something like that?
Think about Tim. What do you think Tim's telling us?
I don't know.
Take a good guess.
I don't know. Oh my God.
Tim's the weak link in the chain here, Barry.
This is crazy.
Stop. Barry, if they gave you a one-time deal on this.
Oh.
Do you understand that? A one-time deal.
Yeah,
one-time deal.
No. This is like a nightmare.
It is, for Debbie.
I just want to live my life.
Well, things change, Barry. A shitstorm is coming your way. One-time deal, Barry. We get the DA, we do this.
Oh, no, I know what you're proposing. No, sir, I can't do that.
Can't do that.
No, I can't confess or to something I have nothing to.
Stop.
I did not do.
It's over with.
I want to end this conversation because...
Okay. I'm going to end the tape now. Time is 7 minutes to 11.
Okay, guys, Yolanda, we have trekked through all of Washington and all the way into Idaho. Y'all found Barry. We cannot find McKimmy. Every other witness has been talked to.
Can we charge both of them with murder?
As long as we can show that McKimmy was involved before the murder happened, then he can be charged.
Okay.
Since the evidence is consistent with the idea that two people committed this murder, and because we know that Timmy McKimmey called Barry in the minutes before this happened, it makes you wonder if Timmy McKimmey was aware of what was about to happen. You're not just presenting a case that's Barry's lies. You're presenting what Barry says as opposed to what all these true, credible people say really happened that night and in all the months that followed. You got a really good case. When they get here, y'all let us know.
Okay.
With a few hours left before our meeting with the Yakima County prosecutors, we step out to let our investigators have time to prepare.
Hello? Got a call from Jim Haggerty just a few minutes ago. Got a call from Jim Haggerty just a few minutes ago. They've already made their decision. They're not going to file.
Ever?
No, we don't have a case.
Wow. Without even meeting with us, the prosecutors, based on simply reading the probable cause, have made the decision that they are never going to take this case.
I said, I still want you to come down. Let us at least present our case to you.
Well, thank you for doing that. I'm trying not to cry, and I see how emotional Judd is about it, and we're all just, what do you do? And then you get mad, and then you want to do something. If they're going to come anyway, then you have nothing to lose.
No.
Don't take no sitting down. The prosecutor's office has agreed to come over, and we're having this closed-door meeting. It's 4 prosecutors and Dave and Judd and me, and we're laying out point by point by point every single piece of evidence we have to try and convince them to move forward. Starting with the fact that we very clearly have a suspect who's motivated by an impending divorce.
She was very, very worried. She didn't want it to get back to Barry that she was talking to people.
Both suspects had unsupported alibis during the time that we believe this murder occurred. And Timmy changed his story many times about that truck that he borrowed that night.
For somebody to go using somebody's truck at night like that, it was very strange.
Barry claimed a drug dealer killed his wife. But witnesses say it was Barry who was buying Debbie's drugs that were supplied by Timmy McKimmey.
Timmy was giving her the dope.
Everybody was guilty from it.
Our victim was potentially shot with her own gun, a gun that Barry admitted to witnesses he had destroyed.
Said that the murder weapon is scattered throughout some river.
Barry spent his entire life doing nothing but bad-mouthing his wife and making her out to be nothing but a piece of trash. And you can feel the mood in the room change. I'll look over at Judd and I'll say, it's okay. And he goes, yeah, it's okay. All right, guys.
They're going to take the case.
Oh, my God.
Are you serious?
Yep.
Oh, my God. The meeting ended with them agreeing to divide up the case file to read so that they can move forward.
We convinced them to turn it around.
Now you're going to get what you've been wanting to get for a long, long time. Now we're just hoping they will file charges against Barry and Timmy McKimmey.
Good brother. Proud of you. They didn't take the case, and then finally we go back in and they took the case. It was a hard day for all of us, especially the investigators that were so close to the case.
Carl and Pearl and Scott are going to be more excited than anybody.
You ready to go tell him?
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's go tell him. Hello?
Hi.
To be able to go to the Smothermans and say, we got some good news, it's amazing.
So the good news is that your prosecutors, because of Judd and Dave and the chief, are planning to move forward on this case.
Okay, good.
And everywhere we went, all of the people that were friends with Debbie told him how glad they were that the case never got let go. Couldn't have turned out any better.
I just know you never quit.
This is because of you and your wife, for Scott, that we didn't stop.
All these years just hoping and praying, and here it is, you know. Because after a while you get to thinking, well, you know, it's been so many years, nothing's going to happen, and it's just been an answered prayer. There's not a day goes by that I haven't asked God why, you know. And bless your heart. I guess God said, okay, this is the time, and I'm thankful for that.
Well, give us a hug, bye.
And ask her more questions.
I know I'll see her. I know she's there waiting. And
Our victim was last seen by her husband in 1986. Diane Holscher was 39 years old. She was the mother of 2 children. They come from a very good neighborhood in San Antonio.
She owned her own business. She was a designer. She was into high-end furs and high-end clothing.
On the surface, it would seem like Diane Holscher had it all. She had a good family, she had money, she had a happy life, and then one day she was just gone. When Diane was last seen alive, February the 4th, 1986, she was going to Houston to try and sell some high-end fabric from her store. They didn't know where she'd gone, and she was just missing. And they find her remains out here in Waller County on the way to Houston 11 years later.
Waller's, what, like 3 hours away from San Antonio?
2.5, 3 hours.
Well, that's a long way from home.
When a murder case takes place in a lot of different counties, it's up to any one of those law enforcement agencies to take over that case and do something about it. With agencies so busy these days, it's really hard for them to pin down who a case should go to. We keep seeing that in our cold cases when they get left between counties. Everybody's so busy, nobody wants to say it's my case, but you got to give Waller County credit. They did.
Sure.
This is going to be, once again, picking up the pieces, talking to everybody all over again, and hoping for some good luck.
It has been 16 years and still no answers.
Police consider her killing a cold case.
Years later, the case is still unsolved.
There are so many cold cases out there just waiting to be solved.
The crime scene ultimately tells the story of the murder.
We want to bring justice to these victims. We're here to meet Lieutenant Heather Owens.
Okay.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Heather.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
to meet you.
Thank you so much.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. We want to tell you that we give y'all full credit for taking on this case when other agencies could have and didn't.
A skeleton was found in our county in 1997. We had no way of identifying the remains at that time.
Automatically, the police researched their files and any small neighboring counties looking for missing people, looking for any possible homicides of females that were never identified. But since San Antonio is more than 150 miles away and not a neighbor of Waller, they were never presented with Diane as a possible ID for Jane Doe. Then, in 2014, the University of North Texas Center for Human Identifications, which keeps a database of missing persons' DNA from across Texas, matched DNA from the body found in Waller with DNA from Diane's son. That was collected as part of San Antonio PD's missing persons investigation, and they were able to positively ID the remains as being Diane Holscher.
That set off a chain of events that leads us to this investigation and a case that's basically 26 years old.
Hi, I'm Heather Owens. Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Alan Brown has come in to work on this case. He was with the Houston Police Department Homicide Division for 25 years, and he's still in touch with some of the guys that actually worked this case when it was just a missing person case all those years ago.
That's real Texas lawman right there.
Right.
I like that.
Okay, so at that point, the remains are found in your county. They get identified very recently.
Once we learned of the DNA match, that's when we started finding out everything about her.
What did you have as far as an offense report at that point? Probably not much, right?
Not much, no.
So you put all that together, collaborating with San Antonio PD and HPD.
Do you put all that together just in the past 6 months?
Yes.
Wow, less than that. Less than that, yeah.
I just feel that we have a responsibility to the community, and I took an oath, and that means very, very much to me.
Good for you. Okay, so why don't y'all start with the beginning of the story?
February 13th, 1986, Joseph Holscher Sr. reported his wife, Diane Holscher, missing to San Antonio Police Department. Diane Holscher was a young, beautiful woman in the prime of her life. She was in fashion. She had her own business where she was making custom dresses.
Okay, so here's our picture of Diane Holscher. How long have they been married?
10 years.
10 years?
10 years.
According to the report.
They had little kids.
Yes.
Joe and Diane had 2 children, the son who was 9 years old and a daughter who was 6.
According to Joseph Holscher, his wife, Diane Holscher, left to go on a business trip around February 4th of 1986 to take her fabrics to Houston in the Dallas area to sell on February 13th, 1986. A briefcase was found in Waller County. We ended up learning belonged to Diane Holscher. In May of 1986, Diane Holscher's vehicle is located in Houston at the Galleria Mall in the parking lot.
3 months after she went missing, Diane's car was found in a mall in Houston where her husband said she was heading. So the question is going to be, did she actually make it to Houston and her car sat in a mall parking lot for 3 months unnoticed? Or was it placed there sometime later as the killer was trying to cover their tracks?
Okay, so as far as our world of suspects, why don't we first start with Joe Holscher Sr. Joe is the one who actually reported Diane missing, and he's the one who's been in the middle of this investigation for all these years. He's done a lot of suspicious things. The first thing is he waited more than a week before he ever even reported her missing.
He's not concerned about her being missing. He's not concerned about making a report.
He didn't follow up to try and find her. Did nothing to check on her.
Right.
Okay. What else?
Sounds like they were having financial problems.
Joe and Diane like to enjoy and show off their lavish lifestyle, but the truth behind the story is that they did have a lot of financial troubles, and a lot of people often wondered where Joe's money came from. What about the life insurance policy? $500,000. That's all we need to write up there.
That's the biggest.
$500,000. Just 2 years after Diane's disappearance, Joe had her declared legally dead and collected on a $500,000 life insurance policy. This certainly seems suspicious, but on the other hand, maybe he needed money after Diane went missing. If you're a single parent raising kids, you're going to collect on a policy if you have it.
So if Joe Holscher is not the suspect, an unknown guy is. We also want to consider the possibility that while Diane was traveling to Houston for business, she could have been abducted by a stranger or possibly killed in a botched robbery.
She was just a random victim of violence.
Okay. After all, the location of her body, the briefcase, and her car could have been consistent with her being killed while on the road. Diane's mother, brother, and sister-in-law have traveled here from Florida and Alabama for our investigation.
Just from talking with you guys, I know how much of a wonderful person she truly was.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate it very much. It's been like 29 years. We wanted to come on out here because Mom wanted closure, and hopefully we can get something.
Don, why don't you start by telling us some things about your sister?
She was a great gal. She loved people. She was kind. She was considerate. She had a great heart.
Diane was a beautiful seamstress, just beautiful. She made all her prom dresses and everything. So I just didn't expect to go through all this. But they say I'm strong and I can do it, so.
Because you have to.
She didn't deserve to have to go this way. I just can't feel there's a closure yet. Just seems like she wants to come and say, "Hi, Mom, how are you?" I'd like to see her, but I can't. But I will someday.
Why don't you talk about Joe and their marriage and their situation?
I guess I had my opinion of him right away. I just thought he was pretty smooth, and I never knew what he was doing. I don't know where the money came. But as long as my daughter was happy and loved him and everything, it was okay.
One thing that we thought was weird about this whole thing is that the only way Mom found out that Diane was missing was that she was calling one of the children to wish her happy birthday. And then Joe got on the phone and said, "By the way, Diane's been missing for 4 weeks." It's just kind of weird. Joe got on the phone and said, "By the way, Diane's been missing for 4 weeks." It's just kind of weird.
We are investigating the murder of Diane Holscher, who disappeared in 1986 and who was found dead 11 years later. We're trying to determine if her husband, Joe Holscher, was involved in her disappearance and death, or if it was just simply a random act of violence.
He got his money from Aetna. I don't know.
Did Joe ever admit to you that he had money problems?
No.
Okay.
He told his mother because his mother called Jim and I, and she said, well, he wants a bunch of money from me.
That summer after she was missing, I was out in San Antonio, and I went down to the police department because we hadn't had any contact with Joe, and just to find out where things were. At that time, they had reason to believe that Diane did not want to be found. There had been some financial problems, bad checks written. They just were kind of backing off because they just felt that she wanted to be missing. But she was not the kind of person to ever go off and leave her children. That was the one thing that did not make sense. For years, we'd think at Christmas or birthdays or whatever, maybe we'll hear from Diane. But then we never did. And so when Diane's remains had been found and identified, it was a huge shock.
We hope that we can give you some answers and some good news. So we're going to go start trying to find people and talk to them.
We appreciate it very much, what you're doing. What you're
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Since we don't know where Diane was killed, we have to try and retrace the steps her killer took disposing of the evidence in order to try and figure out if this was a random killer or if her husband was the killer.
Okay, so first we're gonna go see where the briefcase was. There are 3 key locations in this case. The roadside where her briefcase was found on February 13th, the mall parking lot where her car was found 3 months later, and the field where her body was found 11 years after that. So just kind of a lot of rural area, huh?
Yes. Your favorite, girlfriend, country roads.
Exactly. All right.
That's an oil field access gate.
It's an oil field road that runs west off of 2855. The drainage ditch runs north and south across the road. Recovered property is on the south side in the water. It's right down there.
In the water.
Okay.
Right there.
The briefcase had really nothing of value in it except for Diane's driver's license.
Or here. Right here. Right here.
Right here. What a good place to dump it.
It's strange that this is the only item of Diane's that was recovered. It almost looks staged, like someone wanted the police to know that the briefcase belonged to Diane Holscher. So they put her driver's license in it. Regardless, it doesn't seem like something a random killer would do. 3 months after Diane was last seen in her home in San Antonio, Diane's car was found at the Galleria Mall in Houston, Texas. If Diane made it all the way to Houston and checked into a hotel at the Galleria Mall, then it makes total sense that her car would be parked there. Got Neiman Marcus this way. Her car would have been pretty much directly in front of us. The mall security, you know, part of their job typically is to check the abandoned vehicles. If security keeps seeing their car, they will at the least have it just towed off. We don't have any statements from mall security at the time, but it seems next to impossible that her car could sit abandoned in the mall for 3 months and nobody noticed. I'm never going to buy in the fact that that car's been here for 3 months. Never going to buy that.
I agree.
If Diane's car was moved to the mall parking lot after she went missing, it's just another strike against the theory that her death was a random act of violence. After all, wouldn't a random killer want to ditch her car right away? Not to hold on to it, only to place it in a mall parking lot months later?
Have a seat. Thanks for coming all this way, Gene.
You're welcome.
Gene Hensley was a Houston police detective who responded to the abandoned vehicle at the Galleria Mall.
Back in '86, we received a recovered vehicle report. So we got over there, and there was a vehicle there in the parking lot.
HPD notified Joe Holscher that his missing wife's vehicle had been recovered, and he traveled from San Antonio to meet detectives on the scene.
He was quite emotional at the time, on the verge of crying. And he said that his wife had come to Houston to do some business regarding her dress shop.
Joe says that he helped Diane load several rolls of fabric into her Jeep before she left. But neither fabric nor any luggage was ever found in the car. Did a random killer steal these items, or were they never put there to begin with?
Said he'd talked to her why she was here.
And he said that he'd only talked to her one time after she left San Antonio?
That's right.
Did he tell you at all where she might be staying or anything like that?
Didn't say.
Joe initially told police that he did not talk to Diane after she left. Then he told police that he did speak to her once, but he didn't know where she was staying. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks. Good to see you again.
We're gonna go see the old farm where the skeletal remains were found. She was found 11 years after she went missing.
She was 75 feet from the road, which would be 25 yards.
She would have been like right in this area here. The fact that the body was found 11 years after the day of her disappearance creates a lot of hurdles for you because there's not much evidence. There's nothing left but skeletal remains. So you have no way to establish bruising or any wounds. There were multiple injuries and defects on the skull, but it's impossible to tell if those were the cause of death or if it's just from the remains being in nature for 11 years.
Y'all grew up out here. Y'all talk about how busy it was 28 years ago at nighttime in this area.
I mean, there wouldn't have been anybody out here. Traffic was few and far between. This was just a little farm to market road. That's all it was. We were in sticks.
One thing about how easy it would be to whoop in right there, run over there, dump her, get back in your car and leave and head back to the big city.
Fast and easy.
Look how brushy this is. Look how easy it would be to have a body hidden in there for a long time and nobody could see it. It's all brushed. This is way cleared compared to the picture. Hiding the body in a place like this was the smartest thing the killer could have ever done. It was 11 years before her body was found, and it was 17 years before she could ever even be identified. Because whether it was Joe Holscher or some random killer who murdered Diane, after 28 years, a lot of the little details that will help you with a case like this are long gone. In 1986, Diane Holscher went missing from her home in San Antonio, leaving behind her children, her husband, and a whole lot of questions. She was discovered 11 years later in Waller County, and when those remains were identified in 2014, the Waller County Sheriff's Department began their investigation, trying to determine if her death was a random act of violence because she was traveling to business or if her husband, Joe Holscher, was involved.
All right, guys, this is Detective Lopez, the retired San Antonio Police Department.
Detective Lopez was a cop for 32 years, probably worked thousands of cases in his career. He retired 23 years ago.
Does that case stand out in your mind?
Yes, yes, it does.
Yet he still remembers Joe Holscher.
Okay, when is the first time when he tells you about this trip to Houston?
She had gone on business.
Okay.
He was very evasive. When I first started working on it, it seemed like it was a scam. They had filed for bankruptcy a couple of times.
So there really was a bankruptcy? Because we're not clear on that.
Yes, that's why we figured she's just hiding until he could collect the $500,000
and then be back in the picture.
Right.
So your interpretation at the beginning was that it was a scam on both their parts.
They left the satchel there with just her driver's license, like he wanted us to know that she was missing, you know. It was too obvious.
Okay.
The thing about this guy is that whenever you ask him a question, he would start crying, so he wouldn't have to answer you.
Right.
That was the way out of everything.
So it didn't seem genuine to you, it's just like he was avoiding the whole question and answer.
No, he was.
You specifically asked him for the names of some of her friends. And what did he do when you did that?
Starts crying.
How unusual is it that he does not want any of you to contact her parents? How many people make that kind of request? That seems odd.
You don't want to tell her own mom and dad?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It made sense to me if it was just a scam to get that $500,000. I always thought she was alive at the time.
When you're talking to him, did he appear worried?
No, and again, I'm saying this same thing over and over. He starts crying.
Okay.
That way he doesn't have to tell you anything.
It's a shame that Joe and Diane's financial history and Joe's evasiveness led investigators to believe that all of this was a scam that Diane might have been involved with. But it makes perfect sense when you realize that even though Joe and Diane appeared to be affluent, they really had secret financial issues that no one knew about.
When I was working for her, she took me to meet a gentleman. His name was Don. And he had like a very exclusive hat shop in Manhattan. And she was buying hats from him. It was just a few weeks after we had come back from New York that Don was calling the shop and she wouldn't take his calls. He told me, young lady, I would suggest you look for another job because she's not paying her bills.
Okay. Why was the business doing so poorly?
The fashion business is really difficult.
Sure.
And when she opened her shop, it was sort of like a very upscale shop, and it was kind of a little extravagant.
For San Antonio?
For San Antonio. Honestly, we were not making a lot of dresses.
Did you know her to do any business in Houston back then?
No.
So if someone told us that when she disappeared, she was going to Houston to sell numerous rolls of expensive fabric, do you remember her having that kind of excess inventory? Does that sound like something she would do?
There's no way she could have had enough money in fabric in her car to save her business.
Our witness thinks it would be unlikely for Diane to make this business trip. That creates questions in Joe Holscher's story that we need to find answers to.
Hey, look who I found wandering in the hall. Larry Ott was a homicide detective back in Houston during the time this investigation was going on, and actually Larry Ott, when I went to the Houston Homicide Division, was one of the guys who taught me how to be a homicide detective. So Larry Ott was assigned the case along with his partner back at that time.
Okay, so Larry, just start from the beginning.
Houston to sell fabric. He told us that she normally stayed in hotels around the Galleria. So my partner and I, during that time, checked all the hotels in that area, and no record of her ever checking into any hotel.
No records of her?
No, never heard of her. We checked every fabric place in that area. No one had ever heard of her, and nothing about selling fabric.
Do you remember if they said whether or not they would buy fabric from an individual like that off the streets?
No, they said they would not.
That's important.
Because they didn't know the quality of the fabric.
Okay, so look up here on the board. We now have Larry who can say the fabric story that he gives, Larry is taken care of and eliminated. And the hotel explanation that we have so far, Larry eliminated. Thank you so much. It's a big piece of the puzzle.
It now appears that Diane's trip to Houston may not ever have happened. So now Alan and Lieutenant Owens are going to talk to a neighbor of the Holschers, who gave Joe a ride to Houston after Diane's car showed up 3 months later.
For the ride down, what's your personal interpretation of Joe's demeanor?
It was like he was somewhat emotionless. It was kind of strange reaction because I was expecting him to be a little bit more emotional about the whole thing.
Now, when you drive down there, how do you know exactly where to go?
There was a hotel in the gallery.
So he specifically wanted to look in the hotel area?
Yeah.
What did he tell you exactly?
She got a room. Supposedly somebody from the hotel somehow told Joe she was seen leaving with some guy. Then she just disappeared.
Really? Joe Holscher never told the police that. Would it shock you if I told you that she had never registered at that hotel?
Wow.
Wow.
He said that she checked into a hotel in the Galleria.
Right, and that's why her vehicle was there.
Yeah.
Initially, Joe says he never talked to Diane the entire time she was gone, but then he told police he ended up talking to her once. Now we hear from Joe's neighbor, and not only does he know where she's staying, but that she's been seen with some guy and never told the police. Joe's statements are all over the place, which makes it suspicious for us.
In 1986, Diane Holscher disappeared and was never heard from again. Her remains were found in 1997, and she wasn't identified until 2014. That turned an old missing person case into a murder investigation. Although we cannot yet rule out she was killed by some unknown assailant, evidence has begun pointing to Joe Holscher, Diane's husband, our main suspect. So we need to look into Diane's personal life to get a better idea of their marriage.
How long did you know Diane?
Several years. Actually, she was my only friend, really, when I lived here in San Antonio. So I had been in her home, and she had little ones. So when she came up missing, that's the first thing I said. You know, she just wouldn't take off because she loved those kids.
How about her relationship with Joe? I mean, if y'all were friends, had lunch a lot together.
I only met him a couple of times, and the only thing I have in the back of my mind is I don't think she knew what he did for a job.
They've been married a while, too.
Do you find that odd?
Yeah. It's just my gut feeling. Maybe she wasn't happy.
Like, she wasn't happy as a person in her relationship?
Yeah, there was something back there that was always, that she just held back.
We are calling because we wanted to talk to you about Diane.
Jeff Davis is one of Diane's other brothers. Our hope is that he might be able to shed some light on her life back then.
Do you want to start with the last time that you spoke with your sister, Diane?
We were talking, and she said that Joe was having psychological problems, and then all of a sudden she couldn't talk anymore. So, I'm assuming he walked into the room, and then we just kind of cut off the conversation. And that was the last time I spoke with her.
And that was approximately how long before?
A week or so, maybe. It was very close to when she was missing.
Okay. I'm really, really glad that you did take the time to sit down and talk with us.
Sounds great.
All right. Thanks, Jeff. Bye. Look what I just found. Mr. Holscher filed for divorce from Diane October 13th of 1982.
Think about this for a minute. They're really not getting along. Things are going bad, so he goes to file. This is brand new information that puts the $500,000 that Joe collected on Diane's life insurance in a new light.
He gets the life insurance on her in '83 sometime.
That's huge. It turns out that the policy Joe collected on was taken out right around the time he petitioned for a divorce, just a few years before she went missing. We've also discovered that the Holschers only had a life insurance policy for Diane, the owner of a small failing business, yet didn't have one for Joe.
If the policy was less than 2 years old, they're going to do an extensive investigation because that's your exclusion period on most life policies.
But Joe knows that. He's going to wait long enough to get past that hump.
Diane disappeared 2 years and 6 months after the policy was purchased, making it easier for Joe to collect. You get to keep the house, the cars, the bank account. You get to keep your kids. Yeah, there's no fighting over anything when one of you is gone. You get it all.
So is it possible that Joe and Diane had a troubled marriage, and rather than get a divorce, Joe's solution was to take out a big life insurance policy on Diane and lay in wait? With so much suspicion around Joe Holscher, Lieutenant Heather Owens interviewed one of Joe's exes to see whether she can remember anything regarding whether or not Joe's even capable of murder.
She tried to be nice about what she was saying, and then that's whenever I started asking the harder questions. She never touched base on any domestic violence until I finally asked her specifically. Was there any type of domestic violence in your relationship?
Well, there was not any ongoing domestic violence.
What do you mean by that?
The thing that happened that made us split was one night I was sleeping, and all of a sudden he was on top of me and choked me. Of course, we weren't getting along. We were arguing, but violently arguing. Nothing was ever thrown. He never had hit me or pushed me or anything like that. But he made bruises big enough on, I thought I was gone, because he's a very large man.
So you were literally asleep
I was up
to him choking?
Yes, yes. It was a while. Of course, it could have been a second, but it seemed like a while. I said something to him. Somehow I managed to say something, and he just kind of like crumpled. And he said, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. So I just calmed him down and said, look, I understand. Everybody gets upset. And then as soon as he left for work, that was it. Got a restraining order. And everyone back to him.
She said that she didn't even know how she was able to scream his name out to get him to stop.
Oh my God. After interviewing witnesses and collecting evidence, it's time for us to talk to Joe's son, whom we've held off on talking to before now because he's still close to his dad. What's the last memory you have of your mom?
It was very close to when she left. I don't actually remember saying goodbye to her.
Okay.
She sat my sister and I down and said, you know, I'm going to sell the business, and I'm doing it because I want to spend more time with you guys. Yeah. I just wanted you guys to know I'm going to be leaving, but I'll be coming back.
Joe's son tells us that his mom did go on a business trip to Houston, but you have to remember he was only 10 years old, so does he remember that, or has he been told that his whole life?
Whenever she traveled, they would talk every night. The reason I knew something was wrong is because my dad said, oh, well, you know, your mom is late, and, you know, I was pestering him, like, well, what's the deal with that? And he's like, well, you know, I don't know, she hasn't called, and sometimes she does that, and I remember thinking, well, that's crap.
What is your dad's first best explanation of what happened?
He just laid it out one day. He was like, look, I don't know what's going on. We're doing everything we can. I've hired people.
Who do you say he hired, Mr. Holscher?
Just some detectives or something.
Okay, so he actually hired his own detectives.
Right.
Your understanding is they helped out.
I guess at some point they tried to retrace her route that she might have taken.
Okay, they retraced her route.
And they were the ones who located her vehicle.
Okay, and you probably never talked to a detective, so
No.
You heard they found the car from whom?
My dad.
Remember something about blood?
That came later when I was kind of pushing him, and he said that, yeah, there was blood in the car, and he wasn't sure exactly how much, but...
And that's from your dad, not the detectives, right?
Right.
Since so many of Joe's son's memories seem to come from what he was told all during his childhood, I asked him specifically about those rolls of fabric that his dad told him he loaded into her car that weekend.
That's something I was told a long time later. Apparently somebody was trying to sell fabric in New York. Somebody went in to get it appraised.
How would it be identifiable? How would the people in New York know enough about this fabric to pay attention and that word to get all the way down here to San Antonio?
The fabric in question, as I understand it, was the Swarovski fabric, which actually had crystals sewed into it. And all of that stuff was registered with Swarovski too, so they would have been able to call and say, hey, what's going on with this?
Okay, so this registration and this fancy fabric and the story about what happened in New York, you learn all of that from your dad. Okay. Joe Holscher never told the police that the rolls of fabric Diane supposedly took to Houston turned up in New York City when someone tried to sell them. So either it didn't happen or Joe's keeping this very important piece of evidence to himself for some unknown reason.
He really doesn't like talking about any of this.
Is your dad a crier?
Not really.
How would you best describe their marriage?
I believe that they were the loves of each other's lives.
Do you think they ever gave any consideration to divorce?
He's pretty devout, so I think that would have been difficult for them.
Joe's son's memory of his parents' marriage just doesn't meet the facts. So Quentin showed him the divorce petition that his dad filed on his mom all those years ago. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know it had gotten that bad.
It was filed October 13th of 82. Because you have to remember, you're a victim. You're a little boy who lost your mom.
To me, this is a miracle. Okay, because I didn't think we were ever going to get these answers. I never thought we were going to be able to get my mother buried.
What if it turns out to be bad news?
I respect the truth a great deal. It's a guiding principle for me, and I would rather know the truth than not know the truth under pretty much any circumstance.
With more and more factors now pointing toward Joe Holscher, it's time for us to talk to him.
We interviewed him for a little over 4 hours. The problem was, if you asked him a pointed question, he would start like he's going to answer the question, never answer it, and he'd go way off into right field.
Alan, being a great interviewer that he is, starts trying to reel him back in, and he goes, take a deep breath. I'm not done.
He'd call me by my first name, and he'd go, take a breath, Alan. Take a breath.
The thing that infuriated me the most was he claims that he told Diane's family immediately when she went missing.
We tried to pin him down. Is it a week, a month? He goes, oh, no. He said it was just a couple of days.
Joe got on the phone and said, by the way, Diane's been missing for 4 weeks.
Okay, what else?
That guy can cry on command.
He cried to y'all too?
Oh, yeah.
Whenever we'd get into certain subjects and tough questions, it's like a tear was sitting on the edge of his eyelid ready to roll. And then he'd blink, and there it goes.
So the good thing about the crying, even in front of y'all, is that we specifically asked about Daddy crying. Is your dad a crier?
Not really.
I think we could all agree he has pretty strategic tears.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. One of the things that obviously shook him up a lot, she left at 8 p.m. at night. And he said, no, she left between 6 and 7 in the morning. And I told him, HPD took a written statement from you, and you signed it.
and you said 8 p.m., he said, then they're wrong.
Then they're wrong.
And I said, but how can they be wrong, Joe? I said, because that's your statement.
But you know why else that's important? You're doing it analytically as a cop. As a prosecutor, you would go, okay, he says 8 o'clock. Then he goes 6 in the morning. So don't you know the last time you saw your wife alive, you can picture everything. And he can't even get is the sun shining or the moon shining right.
He looked into a PI, but it was going to be $50,000, and so he elected not to hire one.
Who do you say he hired, Mr. Hosher?
Just some detectives or something.
Okay, so he actually hired his own detectives. Looking at all this, how do you feel, confident or otherwise, as far as presenting it to Elton Mathis, your DA, to see if he'll move forward?
It's circumstantial, which is new for Heather and I, but absolutely it's ready to go to a grand jury.
Joe has told so many stories to so many people over the years that when you gather them all together and you add in the fact that he filed for a divorce just before taking out a life insurance policy on Diane's life that ultimately paid him $500,000, not only can you eliminate the idea that Diane was killed in some random act of violence, you also have a strong circumstantial case against him for the murder of his wife, Diane. It's the really good detectives that can put together these cases. If you get a gun or a fingerprint or DNA or confession, that's easy. Right. So you should be very proud.
I am proud. I am very proud.
We have been investigating the murder of Diane Holscher, who disappeared in 1986 and was found 11 years later. We have put together a good case against her husband, Joe Holscher, which we are presenting to Elton Mathis, the District Attorney of Waller County. Our hopes are that the DA is going to like the case as much as we do, but it is a circumstantial case with a lot of details and a long story to explain. So in the end, all you can do is present your case and hope that he wants to take it. Thank you.
Hey, guys.
I missed the blue memo.
Well, we just got back from talking with Elton. He took it. He accepted it. He was very, very
He was excited.
Impressed. He was
Really?
excited.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was excited.
Awesome. Yes, it is awesome.
That is.
We have worked so hard. This is the best news that we could have ever had, and this is what it's all about. He said there was just way too many lies that Joe was telling.
Are you excited?
I am truly excited. And I thank you guys for helping us do this and moving this forward. And I am extremely pleased with how this turned out. And I am so thankful. And I cannot wait to be able to tell Diane's family that we're moving forward on it.
I think you're going to sit here.
It looks so pretty.
Oh, they did? Okay.
We have worked very hard on this, and we went and met with the DA earlier this morning to see if he would accept the case. And he said he would accept the case, and he is going to take it to a grand jury.
I am happy.
That's pretty unbelievable. She's very happy.
It's just overwhelming.
I know it is.
It really is.
I know it is.
Come on, Heather. You got to come hug her.
I know.
She's been waiting so hard to tell.
I thought of Diane every day, prayed for her every night. But I just never dreamed anything would happen, I don't think. I'm just thinking about the beautiful picture I have in my house, and she's still there. I don't mean to cry.
No, this is something good. I mean, this has been a lot of time that you've gone through, kind of knowing but not 100% knowing what's going on, and now you're finally getting some answers.
I just feel my daughter didn't need this. She really didn't.
No, she didn't. Everyone respected your daughter, and they knew what a good woman that she was.
We knew Heather cared. This wasn't just another job for her. She was so open and so compassionate. I almost feel like she's part of our family.
Well, it was wonderful working on this case. It's even more wonderful that it turned out, and golly, to give y'all such a wonderful family this kind of news. Heather, we told Heather this is why she became a cop. For days like this, and for families like you.
I'm happy for a family And I'm sad that my dad's not here to hear all this and see what's happened. She had a good heart. She had a lot of compassion. And she loved those kids. And we never saw that she would leave on her own.
Thank you so much.
Very, very welcome.
Thank you.
If there's a trial, I'm going to be sitting on the front row with you.
Okay, thank you.
The thing is, with a case like this, and someone is allegedly missing, you just live your life not knowing what the hell to think. And they've been doing that for 28 years.
Không là tiền này là không kiếm một không bật được là không kiếm được tiền nó có tiền vẫn view người xem nó có tiền không? Kéo kênh này cũng được. Không bao nhiêu. Tôi bảo anh mua thế của tôi không phép. Không, ra thấy câu của anh hay, sao treo hết của anh. Cậu như kiểu nhạc chuông của cậu là cậu dễ ngủ hay sao? Nhà đi thuốc lá hoặc tôi có quen. Kinh lắm. Không mưa. Nguyên ở luyện là 1 giờ trước này thì ở đây cũng 9 này. Là tối một luyện mà đúng không? Kệ mưa đây, nhiều đô. Không, độ này Quay con xem tiếp thôi biết bị vượt quên à. Okay. Đó, ví dụ trong phim. Con đi bây giờ Huy biến đánh cho nó đỡ đi sớm
vừa tải lên kênh vừa đổi tiêu đề.
Phải ra nó trong quay mình chạy thì độ
Khác gì ấy nhỉ?
khác mấy cái nhà cái về tấm giường kinh
tối đến về bắt đầu
rồi nay nó ăn đóng lên ở Mỹ Đình mà dịp mẹ người ta cướng vậy đơn làm
hình thu nhỏ luôn. Hình thu nhỏ luôn đó hả? Là tang để đầy đủ hả? Sẽ phát. Kiếm tiền bật luôn.
Nhưng mà đến lúc cái video xong thì không cần phải tự đánh giá vàng luôn nhé.
Hả?
Video sau thì để như bình thường. Video sau thì để như bình thường thôi. Không đánh giá vàng, chết vàng.
À không.
Đừng cho nó vàng.
Ôi ôi, không công khai hay riêng tư?
Không cần gì có đủ
lưu.
Rồi chúng ta đi bên đây xem.
Xuất bản.
Không. Như một cái màu gà. Thôi, như một cái màu gà. Hay là đi dối trộm vào đâu này. Chiếu. Ra đây. Chiếu. Còn mà này kìa. Chui lên rồi.
Trời ơi.
Ăn thuốc ra thì ăn gì ngon đấy gì ngon. tí là hết được tí nhỉ.
Thành còn ngoan thì nghe đấy rồi. Thuốc sẽ bị ông xùi lên đâu.
Cho xui lên rồi.
Thuốc
Uống cái gì?
không cứ gửi lên nhóm này nếu mà anh em nó có những cái bài thuốc thì cái ba rồi biết nhiều hơn không.
Mình thích ăn gì? Ăn gì đấy xem mình ăn gì
rồi. Cái gì? Cái này nó gọi là hạt ngọc đây này. Hạt đầu chim nó gọi là hạt ngọc.
Hạt ngọc đấy không sao. Cái này của cái bịt tớ cái bịt tới cho nó ấy sang làm cái nhem cái hạt gạo nếp đắp vào bịt nó hút khô đúng không?
Không phải là gạo nếp ở đâu mà.
Còn nhanh hơn cái.
Nhanh hơn hồ nước. Làm cái lọ ra là mình hai rồi.
Gắn mẹ nó vào.
Mai nó lột ra cả tảng của anh nhé.
Muốn khỏi nhanh cái bịt nó phải cho cái nước nó chảy ra để nguyên một lâu. Cạnh này. Còn gì nữa?
Nhỡ lây.
Lây nhiều. Lây ở đâu? Lây ai? Lấy ra mà thống một cái bông nào vứt đi là
Vợ nghi cái tin nhiều nhá. À, này. Để đéo thì nó nghi giống đàn bà này đi. Đang có chữa.
Mà nhìn cái đéo nó kẻ giờ đeo nhỉ, giờ đeo biết.
Đang
người vách rời rơi xuống thì giờ đeo.
Tiến giống kiểu có tóc của cậu ông đời.
Khả năng cái tóc đúng cái súi nào rồi.
Chả thế.
Gái treo mấy tháng nay rồi.
Đúng rồi. Thì ai mà biết được.
Nó súi nào sao vậy? Lớn thôi. Cũng có tí âm thầm thôi nhỉ. Vinh tấm lòng trong lòng hết. Em rồi em hát rồi.
Nó không có lần còn ngầm mà nó lại biết cái massage chết lại nha. Đấy. Chỗ mà ông tôi đi gặp phim viên văn này đi ra nó biết
thế cái đấy ăn nó dính vào cực vẹn cái nó đầu môi vào nó cũng khỏi.
ông tôi biết là mình để gì.
Ăn rồi nuôi ông mẹ.
Đây chúng mình chỉ một trong cuộc với nhau thôi.
Chính xác. Giúp mình từng yêu nhau. Một con xe. Nó một ít ép thôi. Cái đấy mà nó có bao nhiêu rồi. Một thôi. Cái nào nó sợ. Đây.
chán con nào về đi cái này bịt mệt này. Ôi thành phố này không dám ăn cơm. Lúc đấy đầu óc nó lạng hết cả lên. Rồi nó bắn vào đấy thì là nước nó mọc lên. Không ngồi với chủ đề bị ăn rồi không biết bệnh gì. Làm sao không? Với cái thuốc chứ nhỉ? Hôm sau đi khám gấp luôn. Khám thế thì ra. Cái đợt mà đi massage đi. Với khám thì muốn kia đi khám cùng. Con kia nó có giấy khám rồi. Để khám của nó mới bao lâu? Bọn đấy là hôm đấy nó cho đấy xem là giấy khám trong 1 tháng. Để nhắn lên đi khám. Thì đấy là thôi luôn, đến đây thì không dám đi ấy gì, không có khiêu gọi lên cái đấy nữa. Trước thì cứ có nghiện. Nhà khi mình đéo ở đây ăn cơm anh em nhỉ? Ăn bữa cơm mình đéo ở đi. Không gì mọi người nhà không? Không nghe chứ nói gì. dưới thì chó biết chó trên thì bỏ đi cậu cái này đang làm là theo cái cậu đi tiền hết mày đi xem Tiến nói em đi thế này đi không anh ăn chó như đi đó ăn chó nào ăn gì kia con ruồi đi nằm mơ làm cái tiết canh rượu mận bao giờ đấy em chưa nắm được lịch nói lại thế mất rồi Sinh có thích ăn đấy sao mình làm thêm tí thịt dày nữa hả chứ nó có đéo đâu mà ăn mày cứ nói là thích hay không thích là một chuyện thôi đúng không cậu như làm cái đô vịt đi đúng đấy chuẩn bị làm cái đô vịt đi nhỉ nhưng mà có ấy đâu mà đô vịt cậu bảo là cái tên vịt là ai này cũng hiểu nhất hiểu có giờ đặt tên mà không nhận luôn đi cho nó nóng ngay cũng được ok đi gì ngay bọn mày đi đánh em không cần đánh quay đánh nổi không quan trọng lắm đó nè việc nó không biết gì anh xem còn nữa của ấy nó quan trọng quá quan trọng sân mình chính mình thuê cái khi mình còn phải luôn được cái gì thế này để đánh sân đi đánh ké một buổi đi quay không phải đánh ké mà đi xem đi thật chứ người ta đánh thì mình đủ tuổi gì mình đánh xem anh thua quá nó chán dễ được không vào bị người ta nó vần nó mệt đấy cho nghỉ ở nhà đi uống rượu hồi sớm sớm mồi cho ngon ba đứa rồi gì ấy sớm gì đặt nó làm túi dân đi ấy hả bữa mát này chắc đang tìm ấy trong con túi không phải tìm con túi gọi đông phát có ngay đông khả năng nếu gọi đông thì đông này nghỉ luôn thật một cái dịp quan làm cái gì mà không nghỉ đấy quan trọng bằng việc của bạn không quan trọng bằng quan trọng hơn như thế mấy chục năm rồi trên xe 36 năm bên nhau đấy không quan việc gì quan trọng hơn cái việc này bích này không đánh thì mai này bích bỏ vào bích kể cả nghỉ luôn được thật sự cả thế sao nó như thế nếu cái việc quan trọng để đại sự hàng đầu đại sự của đây như này một như thế trong tối này còn cấm đường để như thực vợ các bạn tối này còn cấm đường không cấm gì cấm gì đó tối thì không phải cấm gì nữa cấm đến 3 giờ sáng mai dạ thế thì cấm đúng đến 3 giờ sáng mai thế thì về làm sao đằng nào tối nay khả năng anh ở đây hả tối nay chắc không về anh ở đây chứ giờ anh mang điện quần áo sang hết rồi Thế thì có gì anh sớm lên.
Anh trưa nay không ngủ về sáng mới đệm sao? Nhưng thì đéo thì nó được.
Đang định vào xem rồi.
Mình phải nhớ lại là không thể tin. Đấy vẫn còn trong tiềm thức mình vẫn còn nhớ. Mình không thể tin nó. Luôn luôn trong đầu phải như thế. Thế này ông thấy không? Anh bước vào rồi mà anh cứ dừng lại.
Ba này dám nó tối rồi. Chị báo sớm.
Đi ngó lên trời luôn thì thế nào?
Quá thật đấy. Nãy rượu núi thì con siêu ăn. Rượu thì ngon rồi.
Rượu kiểu gì cũng hợp, không biết phải ở núi
cứ rượu là được. Cứ có cái mà muốn.
Nếu ăn núi đây bỏ 2 triệu.
Có gì thì ra. Góp.
Góp. Đúng, nhưng mà bạn anh không để thế đâu đi. Anh chỉ đến là cái lít lặng 1 triệu thôi.
Nhưng qua núi không có thì được 5 lít. Thôi không ấy được góp tí vậy nhỉ.
Nhớ tuyệt vời nhá. Đùa gì
Em dần tí muộn. Đúng là kém rồi. Chính xác. Thì mang đệm mang ấy sang đây rồi. Cái tí đấy cả.
Thì người ta cả từ trưa này ép cho ngủ luôn. Bây giờ đến biết
7 giờ ra.
Ui giời ôi. Nó dễ hả? Ui nó dễ.
Dễ không dễ. Hay lắm. Đây đang diệu bình này chẳng éo gì. Đây là trên Ba Đình có. Còn cái chỗ mà có cáo phía kia là chỗ Mỹ Đình A80.
Nó ý nhỉ. Thì đây là chỗ quán núi nó cũng không bị tắc đường, không bị cấm cản gì.
Chẳng cấm cái gì luôn nhá. Không. Đâu. Đấy là anh ấy bảo đi cho ra xem đám anh Hùng đánh thôi.
Để em nhắn bảo nó không đi thôi. Nếu mà
Bạn chỉ cần một lời nói và chỉ cần anh có lời cái thật thì cái anh đông mắm chịu mỗi thế.
Biết chuyện là gì đâu. Nó thấy nó
không qua mới đánh rồi. Không. Bây giờ nó chờ tương lai nó còn lai nữa đó. Để lâu nó thành quá khứ đây này.
Nhất
là cứ sống theo cái phong cách
anh cần viên lúc vậy cũng được, còn lúc nào cũng
tinh xe luôn vào ngay. Hôm nay quá đẹp, thời tiết ủng hộ.
Này thì đã bóng không gọi là 7 chủ nhật thì mùng 1 chuyển sang tháng 7 rồi.
Nay 28 âm đẹp ngày. Hợp lý.
Đẹp thì nó phải đẹp quá thôi ngày 26.
Nói chung là cũng được. Hợp lý. Nay không vướng bận gì cả.
Mai thì đá bóng, kia thì về quê. Ăn uống cái gì? Là mùng 1 sang tháng 7 rồi.
Thật.
Ăn gọi là cái dịp này không được hợp lý nữa. Dạo nó không sẽ tháng sau nó thì buồn quá.
Còn phân tích thì mỗi hôm nay là đẹp nhất. Chính xác. Quá đẹp tuyệt, quá tuyệt vời. Đẹp nhất trong tháng mà quá đẹp trong năm luôn. Tháng năm có một ngày. Tôi nói là chính xác rồi đấy.
Mình đã được cái nước rượu gì nhẹ. Đang có lúc địch vẽ nước sôi nửa bỏng đi ra ngoài. Khi bộ môn phát sinh mõm địch vẽ vẫn đi.
Làm lúc cứ thế
cái việc buồn.
Thể trọng như này.
Anh thì nhẹ nói cô cả mồm, em thì đắng thuốc.
Đầy đâu đau răng vẫn phải cố nói được rồi. Vừa phải uống viên thuốc thì mà nói này.
Thuốc nghiện thật.
Tốt. Thuốc không hút dài tối cầm cốc rượu uống xong cái hút điếu thuốc.
Mấy lần xem anh em ngủ đi ăn thế này anh em đẻo.
Thật. Bây giờ ăn uống muốn cho anh ăn đẹp này.
Nói chi rồi rồi anh em đẻo.
Cũng là nhà cả. Có mỗi kia mỗi chủ nhật đi rồi. Có kia ngày nào đâu. Làm gì có chủ nhật ấy. Đấy. Ê.
Hành động
tiết mưa này cậu về như vậy ướt. Nghe, thế đi đường mưa gió. Anh thực ra rất thì anh biết nó không quan trọng. Nhưng mà ví dụ mà có những cái gì mà lại đây đối nó đẹp thôi, nó hợp lý hơn. Không lúc uống xong rồi bắt taxi về tháng 7 nó thấy đẹp rồi. Chỉ còn ngày nay thôi mà, ngày nay là đẹp nhất rồi. Để xem tôi dúi làm những món gì ngon. Dúi nướng, dúi hấp này. Đấy, cái loại hấp này cuốn đi lá mơ này này. Nhìn nhìn. Dúi xào này, dúi xào gọi. Dúi giả cây này. Tiết canh dúi này. Thịt dài này. Vịt trời nấu chao, vịt trời nướng, vịt trời hấp, vịt trời băm măng, vịt trời quay, vịt trời nấu khoai trộn, tiết canh vịt dài tori, roti, vịt dài nấu dạ dày, lòng ngoại này. Đã xùi, cái gì? Có cái gì? Quá gì? Chị theo cái gì? Cái gì cũng nói gì nghe? Gì đó em anh tốt. Dụ này nếu kiếm ngày đẹp thì em đi ra ngoài sâu nhỉ. Thì anh em chúng ta cũng rảnh vậy thôi chứ biết làm sao bây giờ. Kia này. Nghe coca kiếm một chén đấy. Thế hôm nay là hết ngày đẹp rồi đi. Duy nhất chỉ còn ngày hôm nay. Không chỉ phải được các chất khá của bạn chết những cái ý định đi thấy đi. Mình và cũng đi lại. Đến vào rồi chỉ thế thôi. không có nồi nấu được ngon. Mưa này không lẩu không lắm. Mặc cả, anh em là mặc cả. Thôi thì bây giờ không đòi hỏi được ngon nghèo, có là ngon rồi. Cậu chê? Không phải là tao đòi hỏi, như ý kiến là hôm nay ăn cái món này cũng hợp lý. Lắm một. Đây lẩu. Cái này phải ra nữa. Hết một. Đúng chứ? Không nghĩ gì không đúng. Hả? Ít ra thì được con rúi mấy cái canh đi. Cái nồi xinh xinh. Ăn uống đặt hết một. Cái lý mà nó riêng anh ăn uống cái loại đấy là cái gì đó. Nấu chứ. Như mình cũng đơn giản không bạn bè nấu tây toán vậy thôi. Thích cái đấy. Để chúng nó thịt cái này. Nó không quan trọng lắm, thì nó để nó uống vậy. Chén rượu cái mừng tí thôi, cũng sợ. Chơi như xa, nó để ăn uống thôi. Ăn uống là thời nào quan trọng gì. Quá thì để anh mua cái nhà, mua hai cái nhà cũng mời được nhau đón rượu. Không thích mình thành chủ đề. Giờ là không có bóng với gió hết rồi.
Đánh thẳng một bộ
có đéo như thế này bây giờ là bóng gió mới làm vấn đề đâu. Đúng rồi, mà nửa tháng thôi chứ ngồi nhanh thật. Không nhanh trời, nửa tháng thôi chứ ngồi đúng không? Nửa tháng rồi. Thật cái gì không nhanh trời nó tối mất. Hết rồi em ạ, hôm nay mà không có thẳng vấn đề chính thì làm gì còn gì nữa. Sớm với muộn cái gì con xương không có. Anh em cũng không quan trọng gì đâu. Được hôm còn có ý là nay về sớm hay nay về muộn anh tí. Nói hết rồi, nói thôi. Ngày xưa người ta cưới là chưa quen nhau, chưa mời được nhau rồi. Việc quan trọng trong đời người. Người trong đời có ba cái vui lớn nhất, cái quan trọng nhất nhé. Một là lấy vợ, hai là lấy nhà, ba là gả con đi, thế thôi. Mình muốn đi gả con đi, ba cái mà. Đúng đấy, ngày xưa cưới xin rồi. Lúc ấy mình còn chưa quen biết, Tiến cũng chưa quen được, đâu, chưa, nó cưới không Tiến? Suy cũng chưa? Dạ. Thì con bé xuống cũng lên. Chưa. 29 hay 20 chưa?
Chúng ta tới Hà Nội thì làm cái đội này, lên thì chỉ lên rồi đúng không?
Lên 20 đã làm đâu, mình mới làm 20 mà.
Thì là nó khó.
Trần Dạch. Là thấy chưa có anh Tiến.
Tiến
đấy à em?
Tiến này vẫn ở Phú Yên.
Tiến 21 cho bên anh. Trần Dạch. Mà 19 với vợ đúng không? Trần Dạch. Đúng em được đấy. Trần Dạch.
19 rồi.
Ôi anh nhìn tới 19 rồi. Bây giờ còn cái cơ hội mẹ để chúc mừng như thế mà không biết đâu. Trần Dạch.
Thì cái trước mình
hơn năm, một năm biết
năm thôi, mình cưới cuối năm 20 thôi. Đầu 21 mình đã đẻ con kia rồi. Hơn năm mấy tháng.
Hả? Đấy, cưới xin cũng quay hoài lại cưới quay rồi cưới xin nó phải đúng là đấy là cái thì bây giờ nhé cái vui anh bảo rồi thì anh bảo là lúc cưới thì quen thì cũng có quen nhưng gọi là sơ sơ không được mời lúc không cũng biết thì gọi là chỉ ngày sinh học cùng nhau thôi. Trong lớp kìa. Thì biết gì nhau đâu, biết mặt nhau, tên tuổi nhau thôi. Bây giờ đã biết rồi khả năng của Dương ở nhà mới thì cũng ăn rồi. Ngày xưa thì nhà mới của Dương thì cũng là ăn rồi. Kể cả sau này không chơi được Dương nữa thì nó cũng vẫn được. Bao giờ lên gì? Mấy giờ thế? Vợ có tiếng cố bạn.
Hết nửa năm rồi, các ngõ que thành tích đi.
Không, Bích này là bọn em đi xem mà, chỉ là đi xem.
Bích này không quan trọng.
Vậy em ấy không quan trọng với Bích. Có vẻ là thích con, nhưng có ngày hôm nay là ngày đẹp nhất này, chỉ có ngày hôm nay là ngày đẹp thôi. Hôm nay thấy người khỏe đẹp,
Yêu người uống cho nó bị khỏe, vui.
Tự nhiên vui như thế thôi. Mình đau răng uống, đau răng uống cho nó tê đỡ đau. Ý này có đẹp.
Đẹp và nó đẹp luôn như bạn khi mà bạn trước thì chẳng nghe
Lên đồ đấy. Đi em đi báo vị. Thế để em bảo anh Đông thôi nhé.
em đi vào nhóm này, nói hôm nay thời tiết hôm nay sớm này. Hôm nay là ngày đẹp nhất trong tháng rồi, cuối cùng rồi.
Thấy ở công ty không gấp anh xem có bữa là nó thôi anh nhỉ. Ví dụ mà không đi có gấp thôi đâu. Anh thì
Mày cứ phải nhắn, mày cứ phải lo cái gì nhỉ? Anh nói là mày phải thực hiện ngay.
thế nào?
Hôm nay là ngày đẹp nhất, còn lại trong tháng 6 âm lịch này anh ơi. Tự hiểu. Hay là như thế nào ấy, ông không biết gì đấy. Hôm nay thời tiết lại đẹp, em nghe cái cô tí phong phanh là gấp gấp. Mà ép là phong phanh gấp gấp đâu. Nói thẳng con mẹ em ra. Em Thùy mời. Gấp cái sụt ruột tôi không điên. Nói to lên nè. Không phải như thế. Nghe
này đẹp trời.
thế ngày hôm nay Tiến không cần thêm với vợ. Anh chỉ bán một câu, hôm nay tao
nói thẳng anh Vì bảo không biết. Nãy giờ anh Vì chưa bảo. Anh này đẹp trời, anh Vì bảo này thế nào cũng được. Đúng rồi. Vừa anh Vì bảo thế.
rõ ràng anh hiểu tao mà thì mình phải lo. Có thể là tin nhắn đi.
Đây cháu nhắn rồi đó. Này ông vừa sáng sớm.
Đây mặc dù không có quần áo mặc lại anh được. Bây giờ anh ra kia anh mua quần áo.
Đúng, tí cháu đưa cậu đi mua luôn. Không, đừng ra Camito.
Thôi, đắt lắm. Thôi, ít nhã duyên.
Không, vì một cái dịp
mày muốn mua cái bộ đéo tờ tao cũng đặt tiền được.
Cứ phải mua bộ đẹp đẹp đi.
Trừ cái bộ này vãi cả lồn ra thì thôi. Em hiểu không?
Đúng. Chính xác.
Chính xác. Đây lâu lắm thì không được uống bia rượu rồi bia nhỉ.
Đánh lên xem nó bảo tốt tuần chỉ có quán đánh một tầm 2-3 buổi thôi, đánh quá là nó hay bị đấy gây cảm
Uống thì bị ba gậy.
chắc là đi lòng về đánh chỗ này đánh gì không đúng rồi.
Có gì?
Anh không chuẩn bị sớm đi sớm muộn. Tâm hồn đẹp. Em chúc mừng anh nhá. Anh em mình làm cái hết. Uống cái mà chan tre hả? Eo nó ngon gì gửi điện. Cả luôn được chưa? Ui giời ơi, tại một tính mưa chỉ bay thế này nữa, tuyệt vời luôn. Quá là tuyệt vời, chưa có bao giờ đẹp như hôm nay. Rồi. Tuyệt vời đấy nhỉ. Đừng biết đâu trả lời nhỉ. Đang bích rồi. Chuẩn bị nắm bạn. Tôi dây chằng các bạn này. Tuần giờ rất nhiều nhất là 3 buổi. Mới đọc xong, mới đọc cái phần bố dây chằng xong. Không va chạm, tuần đánh 5 buổi. Tự lòng gối, tự đứt. Nó không đau đến mức quá thôi quên mất rồi, không phải chuyên môn chứ. Bao giờ ở đấy địa phương không làm cho cả ngày mai rồi. Phải mấy ngày mai. Nghe tự nhiên mình chỉ cảm thấy canh điện. Trên xe ăn dê cũng vẫn được, tí canh được. Trên xe quá tuyệt vời. Nhưng mà tôi dê thì đằng nào một các anh em ta phải ăn dê à? Còn bò, quy bò mày.